Dragon Warrior 3 is not only the best Dragon Warrior game for the NES, it's also easily one of the best RPGs on the system. The Dragon Warrior series is known as Dragon Quest in Japan, where it is extremely popular. After the success of the first two games in the series, Dragon Quest III became one of the most highly anticipated video games in Japan's history, selling over 1 million copies in the first few days, and a total of 3.8 million copies overall. People lined up in the streets to buy it, and there were news reports about kids skipping school and adults missing work. This led to an urban legend that the Japanese government required future Dragon Quest games to be released on the weekend. This time, instead of playing as a descendant of legendary warrior Erdrick from the world of Olafgard, you control a new hero who lives in a totally different world, one that appears to be an alternate dimension of planet Earth. Dragon Warrior 3's massive overworld features a whopping 320 screens, 5 times larger than the original. As you explore the map, the sun will set, and at night you'll fight more powerful enemies and meet different people in towns and villages. Your hero can be male or female, an extremely progressive feature for a game this old, although it seems clear that the writers expected you to pick a male hero. Your hero's gender won't have a big impact on the gameplay, although there are a few female-only items, but a handful of characters will have different things to say to a man or a woman, giving you new things to discover over multiple playthroughs. After your father, the brave hero Ortega, is killed while fighting a dragon in the game's opening cutscene, you're tasked on your 16th birthday to pick up the mantle of hero and lead a party to defeat a new evil that threatens the realm, the Archfiend Baramus. In addition to the hero, you'll travel with 3 other characters that you also create. There are 7 different classes you can choose from, and later in the game you can unlock a more powerful 8th class. That means there are 84 different possible starting parties, and if you want an additional challenge, you're free to travel with fewer than 3 companions, or you can even go solo. There are tons of quests to complete, and while many of them are optional, all of this additional content means you'll be spending more time adventuring and less time grinding for experience points. Development was once again led by Yuji Horii, the lead designer from the previous games. Akira Toriyama, the famous manga artist that brought us Dragon Ball, was back again to design monsters and characters. A handful of monsters returned from the previous games, like the classic slimes and green dragons, but the enemies are mostly new designs. Koichi Sugiyama, the original Dragon Quest composer, also returned and created beautiful new arrangements for this game's soundtrack, as well as some new variations on his classic themes. While the president of developer Chunsoft, Koichi Nakamura, had led programming on the previous games, he only did about 10% of it this time, and instead, programming was led by Kon Naito. He would go on to be a programmer for Dragon Quest IV, as well as Shining Force for the Sega Genesis. As amazing as this game is, Dragon Warrior 3 was not as big of a hit when it released in North America in March of 1992, selling about 95,000 copies, a drop in the bucket compared to the millions sold in Japan. So why was it so much less popular here? The big difference was timing. Dragon Quest III released in Japan in February of 1988, 4 years before it came out in the US. In early 1988, there was nothing like this game on the NES, but by the time it had been translated to English, games like Final Fantasy or Ultima Quest of the Avatar had already released in the United States, and 16-bit systems like the Super Nintendo were on store shelves. Dragon Warrior 3 just didn't have the same impact that it would have had in the late 80s. Still, the gamers that did play this game found an incredible adventure that they could play for weeks, months, or even years and still find something new each time. It's not as difficult or grind heavy as the previous games in the series, and the flexibility you have for creating different parties makes each playthrough unique. In modern times, players and critics that know RPGs know that this is one of the best. When IGN released their list of the top 100 NES games of all time, they ranked Dragon Warrior 3 at number 96. The game has been re-released multiple times, including a fancy version for the Nintendo Switch with enhanced graphics and additional content. These updates are pretty cool, but I'll always prefer the NES original that features a lot of secrets and tricks that just won't work in the more modern versions of the game. Modern players that attempt this game will still have to deal with all of the challenges the NES is notorious for. The enemies are extremely vicious and will do their best to wipe your party out. The encounter rate in some areas is high, and many monsters can perform attacks that can instantly kill your party members. Make one wrong move, and it's game over. But what if I told you the best way to get through every dungeon and where to find every hidden treasure? What if I showed you easy ways to level up fast by finding metal slimes or metal babbles whenever you want, completely on demand? And what if I told you how to defeat every boss? Even the Archfiend himself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out YouCanBeatVideoGames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. Let's get started. Alright, Dragon Warrior 3. We're going to start up a new game and it's going to ask us if we want our hero to be a male or a female, and having played it both ways, I just think it's more fun to play as a female. Strategically, it doesn't make a huge difference. The hero will have access to the very best equipment in the game, so having access to the special women's only equipment won't really benefit the hero too much. Your character sprite will look the same regardless of which gender you choose, so maybe that's why people keep thinking our character is a man. The game starts out on Ray's super sweet 16th birthday. She hadn't heard anything about a party, so she was really hoping that her mom had some kind of surprise planned. She also wished that her mother would stop referring to her as a young lad, even if it was obvious that her mother had always wanted a boy. Ray couldn't help but be excited when her mom told her that they were going to the castle. Could there be a surprise party in the castle? Was the king invited? This could be even more awesome than I expected. I'm going to do my best to act surprised, but I really hope that I'm getting that Maserati with the custom purple paint job, and if it's a different car, I might be a little bit upset. Oh well, let's see what's going on in the throne room. I'll just head on up here, going to pretend that I don't know that I'm going to a surprise party. And it seems that His Highness is anxiously awaiting me. Oh man, this is gonna be sweet. Are these the people that have been invited to the party? This guy's telling me about saving my game? Okay, well, kinda cool, I guess. Bring peace to the world? Huh. And yeah, I know the castle gates close at night. That's great. This guy actually has useful information about battle formations, and yeah, I don't think this is a surprise party. So let's go and talk to the king. Maybe we're just here to get our presents. This guy tells us about a place called Louisa's where we can go to make friends, which sounds like some kind of sick burn. And then the king refers to us as the son of the brave Ortega, and although Ortega is my father, I'm his daughter, not his son. Then the king has the audacity to ask us to follow in the footsteps of our brave father, right after telling us that our father died in a volcano. This is not the birthday present I was hoping for. The king tells us that we need to defeat some guy named Baramos, whose only crime seems to be that he started calling himself the Archfiend. Then the king gives us $50 and tells us to meet companions at the local eatery. $50 is not a car, but I guess it's better than nothing. Let's see what's going on with the people in the castle. As we talk to the people around town, we're going to keep hearing about a thief named Baker who made a key that can open up wooden doors. This soldier tells us that that thief is actually in the jail right here in this town, so we should definitely visit him before we leave. Finding the thief's key is going to be our very first quest. At the top of the castle, we can visit with the princess. The princess laments that she can't go out because of the Archfiend, and yeah, I get it, princess. I'm not getting a 16th birthday party because of this Archfiend, so I totally understand why you're upset. If we head down this way, we can go to that jail and try to meet up with the thief, Baker. We won't be able to open up prison cell doors until we find the final key much later in the game, but we can talk to a prisoner through the iron bars, and this one is standing right next to them. It seems that Baker had his keys stolen by an old man in a place called the Tower of Najima. What kind of thief are you? This is a pretty rough world we live in where thieves are being robbed by old men, but we will need to go to the Tower of Najima to get that key. To go there, we're going to have to fight a bunch of battles, so we should probably put together a party first. But before we leave the castle, there's one more guy that we should talk to. This guy tells us that there's a cave on the Promontory that leads to the Tower of Najima, and Promontory is a word that I had to look up, but it means a portion of land that juts out into the water, so it's sort of like a peninsula. Once we leave the castle, we're going to notice that the Tower of Najima is out on an island, so we will need to go through a cave or something to be able to access it. As we leave the castle behind, we enter the town of Aliahan, and if we ask around, we can see what the townsfolk here have to say as well. This guy tells us sort of how to get to that cave on the promontory, and this woman has heard of the Archfiend, although the king seemed to imply that most people had not. If we head up here, we'll find the House of Healing. If you need somebody to be revived, or if you need to get a curse removed, you probably won't use it to get rid of poison, unless you just happen to be poisoned when you enter town, but most of the time an antidote herb or the antidote spell is going to be better for getting rid of the poison. This guy seems to be blocking something, but he's only going to be standing there during the day. If we come back at night, we'll find that he's not standing there anymore, and we'll be able to get into that house. This old man says two different things depending on how you answer his question, and he'll give us some information that confirms that the tower outside of the castle is the Tower of Najima. If we head over to the left, we can check out the inn, and although you can go upstairs, without a key, we're not going to be able to open any of these doors, so there's not very much to see here. We could use the inn to restore our health and magic points, but there's no good reason to do so here in the beginning of the game, because you can just go to Ray's mom's house and she'll restore your health and magic for free. This woman tells us about the town of Reeve, which is nearby, and up here, this is the vault. You can store your gold here so you won't lose it when you die, and you can also store items here, but you will be charged a fee to pick them up. This guy tells us that we should take a soldier, pilgrim, and wizard with us, but he's also drunk, so I don't think we can trust that guy. More trustworthy is this guy who seems to be wearing a balaclava like he's about to rob the place. He tells us that goof-offs are not a very good class, and that's the truth. Sometimes you'll tell a goof-off to fight the enemies, and instead he'll do a little dance or blow some kisses. If we head up here, we can make our starting party. Now there is a pre-made party that you can use if you're impatient, but you'll be much better off making your own. The first character that we're going to create is a pilgrim, and we'll name him Kylo. If you don't like the stats that you get, you can cancel the character and make it again, and let's see what we get this time. 4 strength and 7 MP, not very good. So let's cancel it and see if we can do better. And you can do this as many times as you want to, but I wouldn't do it forever because eventually the stats will kind of level off, but it is nice to have better starting stats early on in the game. The pilgrim is going to be our primary healer. The hero will get some healing magic, but won't have a lot of MP, so we'll be very happy to have this guy. The next character that we're going to make is the fighter, and we're going to name him Mance, although you may want to consider making a female fighter, which will give you access to more equipment later in the game. Like the black belt in Final Fantasy, the fighter deals a lot of damage without needing much equipment, and will increase his chance of getting critical hits as he levels up. The third character that we're going to make, and you may be surprised about this, is a merchant. The merchant levels up faster than any other class, can use special equipment, and will find extra money. The merchant isn't very good in the late game, so eventually we'll convert her into a sage. And you can see that we made our merchant a woman, because it's important to have at least one woman on your team. Do not make a sausage party. As a way to raise some extra money, I'm going to create 4 extra soldiers, but do not make any more characters than that. If you register more than 7 extra characters, you'll trigger a glitch that will make your hero unable to cast heal or return outside a battle, and that is very bad. Once you actually learn the return spell, it'll be okay to make more characters, but for now, we're just going to come down here and we're going to add all of those characters that we made to our party and strip them of their equipment, including the 3 pre-made characters that we didn't make. So we want to take all of their stuff and try to transfer it to Ray, and then we're going to add those soldiers to our party, so just keep taking all of the stuff. The soldiers, they have a leather armor and a club, so the equipment that they start with is the most valuable of all the classes, and we want to make sure when we go to sell all this stuff that we save at least 2 sets of leather armor, because we want to give 1 to our merchant and 1 to our pilgrim. They can both wear leather armor, but they don't start with it. The equipment that we need to buy is kind of expensive, and the enemies do not drop a lot of gold, so you definitely want to take this opportunity to get as much money out of these starter characters as you can without triggering that glitch that'll mess up your spells. So we're just trying to consolidate all of the equipment onto 4 characters, and then we're going to march down to the item shop and sell that stuff. So we'll finally add D to the party, and at this point we've consolidated all of the items onto these 4 characters, and we're just going to head down here, and this is the item shop. You cannot sell things at a weapon shop, you have to sell things at an item shop. I don't know why it works that way, but it's kind of awkward in towns that don't have an item shop but do have a weapon shop, especially if you're just a little bit short of that thing you want to buy. You can see that we now have almost 600 gold pieces, and we also have 2 extra sets of leather armor, so we'll be able to donate one of those to our pilgrim and one to our merchant. We're not going to be needing these soldiers anymore, so we'll thank them for their service and drop them off here at Louisa's. It's time to put together our normal party. And once we have our normal party together, we're going to head to the weapon and armor shop. It's time to go shopping. Before we go, we can distribute the leather armor that we got to Kylo and UCBVG. Those two don't come with leather armor, but they do come with clothes. Well, the merchant comes with wayfarer's clothes, and the pilgrim comes with standard clothes. So we need to sell that stuff off at the item shop. We're not going to need it. And we can also sell off their weapons because we're going to buy better ones. So we'll get rid of the wayfarer's clothes, we'll get rid of the regular clothes, we'll get rid of any clubs that you have, so just sell those. And then we're going to head down to the weapons and armor shop where we're going to purchase 2 copper swords. We're going to buy a copper sword for Kylo and a copper sword for UCBVG. And then we're going to get 3 leather shields. So we want a leather shield for Rey, a leather shield for Kylo, and a leather shield for UCBVG. They don't sell anything good for our fighter here, and they also don't sell any helmets at this store, so we'll want to save some of our money so that when we get to the next town, the village of Reeve, we'll be able to pick up something for Mance, and if we have any money left over, we can look into some helmets. Once you have what you need, make sure to equip any items that you bought, and then we're going to change the formation because order is very important in this game. Whenever the enemies attack you, in general, 44% of their attacks will be directed at the character in the front of your party. 39% of their attacks will go at the character in the second position, so that means that 83% of enemy attacks will hit the first 2 characters. The third character in line will get about 15% of the enemy attacks, and whoever's in the back will only get 1%. Now, there are some enemies that are a little bit smarter than that and will try to gang up on your party members, and there are others that do attacks that hit everybody, but in general, that's how it works. We're going to head to the town of Reeve, and just like in the previous Dragon Warrior games, you'll encounter the fewest enemies in the grassy areas, a little bit more in the wooded areas, and the most in the Orange Hills. And here's our first battle. Good old slimes. You may notice that the first thing we did was parry with the first 3 characters in our party, and then we canceled all of those parries and chose attacks. If you parry and then cancel it, the game still thinks that you parried, but you'll still get to attack. Whenever you parry in this game, it reduces the amount of damage you take from enemies by 50%, so this is a very powerful trick. We made it to the village of Reeve, and the first thing that we're going to do whenever we get here is visit the item shop. Surprisingly, they sell a piece of armor here. The turban is a special helmet that only the merchant or a goof-off can wear. Before we buy anything, we have a few things that we need to sell. We're going to sell the fighter's clothes because we're going to buy better armor for him. As we head down here, we can talk to some of the people in this town. This guy suggests that whenever we see a suspicious place, we should get very close to it. That's good advice for this game, but questionable advice for real life. Down here we find the weapon and armor store, and there's some good weapons that we can buy here, but we can't afford them right now. What we do want to buy is the training suit, one of the only armors that a fighter can use. After buying the training suit, if you have enough money left over, pick up the turban at the item store, and since we're a little bit short, we are going to have to fight some monsters outside of town so that we can get the 10 gold that we need. This guy is struggling to move this boulder, but we can push it easily. And yes, that skill will definitely come in handy later. This horse up here only says nay, but it's the locked room behind him that's interesting. We definitely will have to come back here once we get the thief's key. Speaking of the thief's key, this guy wants to know if we've obtained it, and if we tell him no, he has a pretty good clue. There's another way to get into the Tower of Najima through an area near this town. If you took a beating on the way to town, you can stay here at the inn, but we're trying to save up our money so that we can buy that turban. So we'll say no to this guy, but we will check out the room, and upstairs we meet a kid who finally recognizes that Ray is a woman, and then second guesses himself. Huh. Oh well, it was nice for a moment. We only need 10 gold pieces to be able to buy that turban, so let's just walk around near town and fight some monsters. We can head over here into the forest and we'll see what kind of monsters we can fight here, and still stay relatively close to the town so we can get back quickly when we get enough money. The black ravens are a little bit more dangerous than the slimes, but none of these guys are terribly threatening. We're going to send 3 of our party members against the ravens and 1 against the slimes. Hopefully we'll take out 4 enemies in the first round, leaving only a single slime, which we should easily be able to finish off. And that's what we were able to do here, so we'll just fight. And let's see, did we get enough gold? We did. And our merchant also gained a level, so that's our first level up. Merchants level up faster than any other character class, but it looks like our pilgrim also went up to level 2. And a lot of stats were increased. And let's see if we learned any new spells. Yes, we did. So at level 2, our pilgrim would have learned the Expel spell. Your pilgrim starts with the spell of heal, and Expel only costs 2 magic points, and it could automatically kill an entire group of enemies. A lot of enemies have resistance to it, but the problem with Expel is that you won't get experience points or gold for killing enemies with it, so it's not super useful, and you should probably save your magic points for healing instead. On the way back to town, we ran into 4 black ravens. I like the way that these ravens all brought an identical skull just to let us know that they mean business. We'll show them that we mean business as well, and we should easily be able to finish this fight in 1 to 2 rounds. Our merchant keeps finding us a little bit of extra gold, which is nice, and our fighter has leveled up to level 2 and gained 6 points of agility, so that's what fighters are known for. They have a lot of agility and they deal a lot of damage, so they're often going to be the first one to attack in combat, and they usually kill an enemy whenever they do. Our merchant is in desperate need of a turban. The turban is an amazing helmet for this point in the game. At plus 8, that's 4 times better than the leather helmet at less than twice the price. Good value equipment like the turban is one of the big advantages to having a merchant on your team. Later on in the game, you won't be able to find very good equipment for a merchant to wear, but early on, they're one of the easiest to outfit. Once you have the training suit and the turban, you can make your way back to the castle of Aliahan. We fought a lot of these slimes and black ravens already, so we're just going to speed through this battle. We are more powerful now, and those enemies aren't particularly dangerous, but you still want to use the parry trick, because we need to make sure that none of our characters get killed. If any of your characters die, you'll have to revive them at a house of healing, and that's going to cost you money, which this early in the game could be awkward, so it's a lot better to just not have anyone die. And it looks like our hero has finally reached level 2. The hero levels up a bit more slowly than our other 3 characters, but she has access to some of the best equipment in the game, and eventually she'll learn some magic, so that will definitely compensate for being a bit lower level. As we walk along, day changes to night, and whenever we enter the town of Aliahan at night, we're going to encounter some different people. Whenever we go upstairs at the inn, most of the people here are asleep, but it turns out we ran into this guy earlier at Louisa's place. Yeah, definitely. He told us about sages. This guy is out cold, and whenever we head back downstairs and go to the right, we're going to run into another character that we met at Louisa's place, our good friend the Drunk. He seems to be sleeping here in the gutter. I'm glad that we didn't take his advice on how to build a party. Most of the stores are closed for the night, and if you remember earlier, there was a guy blocking this house. Whenever we go inside at night though, nothing particularly interesting here. In fact, the guy's kind of annoyed that we came in here at night. Yeah, I guess that was kinda rude. If you wanted to visit anyone at the main castle in the night, well, you're out of luck. The castle is locked up pretty tight in the evening, so you won't be able to go in until the next day. Yep, he says that we should stay overnight at the inn and come back later, but you can't tell us what to do. We're gonna stay at Ray's mom's house, and I think she might even have some Hot Pockets in the fridge, so we're gonna microblast a few of those and eat like kings. It's a nice touch how your mother waits up for you to come home at night. Well, with all of our HPs and MPs refilled, we can head back out, but before we go, let's say hi to Grandpa. He says that our father, Ortega, was a great hero, and he also makes great taco dinner kits. Before you leave town, make sure to stop at the item store and buy 2, 3, maybe even 4 antidote herbs. We're about to go into our first dungeon, and there are definitely enemies there that can poison you. This early in the game, poison is the kiss of death, so if you don't have an antidote herb, there's a good chance that any character that gets poisoned is going to die. We have magic that can restore our health, so medical herbs are not as critical as antidotes. And let's make our way now to the cave on the Promontory. There's more than one way to get into the Tower of Najima, but by going through this cave we'll be able to find some treasure chests, so that's why we're going to go this way. In addition to the slimes and black ravens that we've already been fighting, we should run into some new enemies here, like these horned rabbits. The horned rabbits are not very dangerous. They have more hit points than some of the other enemies that we've been fighting so far, but beyond that, they're not terribly threatening, so just parry with your first 3 characters, cancel out those parries, and then fight, and in about 2 rounds you should easily be able to finish off some horned rabbits. Those enemies had a treasure chest that contained a medical herb, and our merchant leveled up to level 3. This time she gained 6 hit points, so that's going to be very helpful considering she's playing the tank role at the front of the party. Giant anteaters are much worse than the horned rabbits, with higher stats in every category. Luckily there's only 2 of them here, so our 4-person party should easily be able to finish them off. It looks like our pilgrim, Kylo, has risen to level 3. No new spell at this level, but he did gain 3 points of strength, and we can take a look at the stats of our characters that just leveled up. So here's the merchant, and the way that damage works in this game, you take your strength, take the enemy's defense and divide that by 2, and subtract it from the strength. Then whatever number you get, divide that by 2, and that should get you your average attack damage against that enemy, but it could be plus or minus 10%. In this room we found a medical herb, and then we found 3 horned rabbits, which will just speed through this battle. These enemies are easy to fight, but you'll notice that we hit them whenever we transition the screen. So whenever you go to a new room in a dungeon, that's when you're going to have the absolute highest monster encounter rate. So when you pass through one of those black walls into another room, be ready to fight, like right here. And you can see we encountered an enemy. We've seen these enemy types before, but we haven't seen this combination. We're going to have 2 characters attack the horned rabbit and 2 attack the ravens, and we should be able to finish this encounter in a single round, especially considering that our pilgrim had a critical hit. And it looks like our fighter, Mance, has risen to level 3 and gained 2 more strength and 3 more agility. Let's take a look at his status. Wow, 21 strength already, and only at level 3. Very powerful. Over here we'll find a chest that only contains 16 gold pieces, so not very exciting. And we're going to head back the way that we came and then go to the right, where we'll find the stairway that leads to the next area. But before that, on the screen transition, we were attacked by some slimes, and we'll just speed through this battle. Make sure that you heal up before you take a single step after any battle if your characters have taken a lot of damage, because the next battle could happen on the very next step, just like it did here. Because there were 7 enemies when this battle began, we're going to get a pretty good multiplier to the experience points at the end of the fight. Normally, 3 black ravens and 4 slimes would be worth 31 experience points, and that would be divided amongst 4 characters, so we'd only get 7 or 8 points per character. But because we're going to get a bonus for there being a lot of enemies here, we get 11 experience points each instead, and our merchant has risen to level 4. So she's actually going twice as fast as our hero now, and gained 9 hit points to her max, so now her maximum HP is 33. Doing a very good job at being a tank up there in the front of the party. Up the stairs we head to the next floor, which takes us actually into the Tower of Najima. There's a couple paths that we can take here, but the way we need to go is up that stairway, the one labeled letter A, and if we head up here and go to the left, this stairway takes us to an inn, a very strange feature for a dungeon. We have a lot of floors that we need to climb to be able to get the key that we're looking for, and for only 8 gold pieces to stay here at the inn, that is a great bargain. Once we're done at the inn, we're going to head straight across and climb up this stairway, which will take us deeper into the tower. We actually need to head down on this floor towards stairway E, but if we want to get a good treasure chest, we should come up here to stairway D, and inside we'll find a leather helmet. So we didn't have the money to buy all the leather helmets we would have liked to have, so it's nice to be able to find one here, and we'll transfer it to our hero and immediately equip her with it. If your hero already has a leather helmet, your pilgrim could also use one. Once we have that leather helmet, we'll head back down the stairs and over to the left, where we ran into 4 masked moths. These guys aren't that hard to kill, but they can be very annoying if they hit us with the surround spell. Once all of our characters are surrounded by mirages, we should probably just run away unless there's maybe only 1 moth left, because most of our attacks are going to miss. So let's just get out of here. Your chances of running away the first time you try to run are 50-50. The second time you try to run are 50-50 again. The third time though, it's 75% to succeed, so 3 out of 4. And the fourth time you run, it's 100%, but you'll almost always succeed within 3 runs. We want to fight most of our battles, but don't be afraid to run away if the battle is going poorly or if it just looks bad. Now we're fighting 4 giant anteaters. These are some of the more dangerous enemies we can meet on this floor. The most dangerous ones are the frogors, but we've leveled up several times since we've entered this tower, so I think we should be able to handle these guys. Make sure that you parry with your front 3 characters and then cancel those parries so that we don't take too much damage. If we take too much damage over time, we may run out of magic points to heal ourselves with, and then it's going to be a problem. As long as we're just taking 1 or 2 points of damage here and there as it's going now, we're going to be fine. So we're going to skip that first room, it's a dead end, and head up into this one. This takes us into Stairway E, and that's going to bring us up to the next floor. Be careful not to walk off the edge, or you will have to start the tower over again. And up here, oh no, 4 black ravens! Not gonna even bother parrying this time. We should be able to easily clear 4 black ravens. And yeah, they didn't even deal us a single point of damage. But our hero leveled up to level 3. Nice! We got a little bit more luck, some more HP, and we finally learned a spell. So our hero will learn some magic, and our first spell is Blaze. Blaze is not very exciting magic, it just deals some damage to a single enemy. Assuming the enemy is not resistant to it, Blaze will deal 8 to 13 damage for your 2 magic points, which may be less than Ray would just have done attacking. And it seems that our Pilgrim has leveled up this time. It doesn't look like he learned a new spell, but he did gain 6 to his maximum HP. And we'll head down here towards another treasure, and this time we encountered 5 Babbles. Babbles are the most dangerous enemy in this area because they're the ones that can poison you. And let's try out that Blaze magic. We have some MP to spare. We don't have any other spells for her to use. So it dealt 8 damage points, which is on the low end. I guess that's fine, but you'll see that just fighting these guys is going to be just as good as using Blaze, so we're probably only going to want to use Blaze if the enemy has very high defense. This treasure chest contains the Wing of the Wyvern, which we can use to return to a town that we've previously visited. This will be very useful before we learn the return spell, which our hero should probably get at level 7. It's not guaranteed that you'll learn it at level 7, but most of the time you will. Up here, we'll meet the man we've been looking for. It's the old guy that stole Baker's key. We won't have to rough him up to get it. We can even say that we don't want the key, but we do need it, so we need to tell him yes. He said that he had a dream that he gave us the key, and after we take it, if we tell him that it came in handy, he'll say that sometimes dreams come true. Down here we'll find our first door that we can open with the key, and once we're through, we're just going to jump off the side of the tower. We could use a Wing of the Wyvern once we're outside to return to town, but there's a few things that we can find down here in the basement of the Tower of Najima now that we have that key. If you're low on health, don't forget that there's an inn at the bottom of the tower, or you could go back to the castle and come back here later. Up here, we'll find a treasure chest that we could have gotten earlier, but we would have had to go out of our way to get it, and it only contains 32 gold pieces. From here, though, we're going to go get the good stuff. Once we get through this battle, another anteater and a slime, but this time they surprised us, so we're not getting the benefits of the parries whenever we're surprised, and we're definitely going to take some damage when that happens. Of course, we're going to make these guys pay for surprising us. Yeah, you're going to wish you didn't. It looks like our fighter leveled up to level 4, gaining even more agility, vitality, luck, and a decent amount of hit points. From here, we're going to head over to the right, and we're going to find that door that we needed the key to unlock, so we'll use our Thieves' Key. open that up. And inside here, we're going to find 2 more chests. First, we have to take out these slimes. We'll quickly defeat them. And fighting those slimes, it looks like our merchant leveled up. Already at level 5, and we're barely out of the first part of the game. So just head down here, and we'll grab the chest on the left first. This one contains a medical herb, so not terribly exciting, but this one over here contains the agility seed. The seed items, as well as the acorns of life, are items that you can use to permanently increase one of your character's stats. The seeds will randomly give you an increase of 1, 2, or 3 to whichever stat they increase, so I like to save the game before using those items. In case you only get 1, then you can reset and use it again. As you level up, if you use seeds a lot on the same stat, you'll notice that that stat won't level up as quickly, so you'll end up closer to the baseline. But early on in the game, additional stats can be very valuable, so you don't want to just waste those seeds. Now that we have the Thief's Key, there's a couple doors here in the village of Reeve that we want to open up. This one near the inn is not very important, but the one in the upper right corner leads to a critical item, the magic ball. It seems that many years ago there was a passage that led from this small continent to the mainland, but the cave had been sealed shut. This old man makes an item called a magic ball, which sort of works like a bomb. We'll use it in the Cave of Enticement to explode our way to the next area. The magic ball was the most important item that we needed the Thief's Key to find, and now that we have it, we can move on to the next area, but there were a few locked doors back at the castle, so before we move on, let's go back there and unlock them. If you have any items that you don't want, sell them off at the store, and remember, if you stay in the grassy areas, you'll encounter fewer enemies than you would if you walk on the trees or over in those orange hills. And it looks like this time, we were able to make it all the way back to the castle without encountering enemies at all. Once we get back here, we're going to stay at Ray's mom's house to restore our HP and MP. It's always a good idea whenever you're in town, we can stay with Ray's mom. A free inn is a free inn. Now that everybody is feeling well rested, let's head over to the actual inn. If we go to the second floor there were a few locked doors that we were unable to open before, but now we have the Thief's Key, so let's see what's going on in there. We're not going to actually stay at the inn because that costs money, and we could stay for free at Ray's mom's house, but let's see what's happening in these rooms. So we'll talk to this guy first. He tells us that somebody here tried to make one of those magic balls before, but failed. And let's talk to that guy and see what he has to say. Yeah, he wanted to sail the far seas. So I guess you need magic balls if you want to be able to sail the seas. At least that's what I've heard anyway. Next up is inside the castle itself. There is a treasure room in the castle, but you need the magic key to get in there, and we don't have it yet, but there are a few doors that we can unlock with the Thief's Key. Behind them we'll find a few people that we can talk to, and most people behind a Thief Key door are going to tell us something about the magic ball. So this guy says that the person who can make a magic ball lives in the town of Reeve, and we've met him already, so we kind of knew that. And behind here, there's another old man, and this guy, believe it or not, has something else to say about magic balls. Yes, we can break open the seal on the travel door using a magic ball. Alright, we know all we need to know about magic balls now, but there is another door down here that we can check out. Where does this one lead, you may wonder? Well, surprisingly, This door leads back into the Tower of Najima. So you may remember when we were in the Tower of Najima that there was a hallway leading off to the right, and that would have taken us back to the castle, but we would not have been able to get through without the thief's key. And here we finally ran into the Frogors, which are the most dangerous enemy in this tower. These guys are no match for our party now, but they would have been a lot harder earlier on. You can see that even now they are dealing decent amounts of damage to us, but we're able to finish off each Frogor in about 2 attacks, so we should be able to finish off 3 of them in 2 rounds. The cool thing about this is because we're so close to the castle, if you need to level up, you can just hang out in that area, and if you get low on health, you can go right back into the castle and walk over to Ray's mom's house for a full refill. So if you're behind on levels, feel free to hang out there and level up for a while, but we're going to be able to move on to more difficult areas of the game where we'll be able to level up even more quickly. There are 2 more doors here in the castle that we can use our thief key on, and the woman behind this door actually has a useful clue. We've heard a lot about the magic ball and about this travel door that we need to access, but she tells us that it's in the easternmost part of Aliahan, so that gives us a good idea of where the next cave actually is. To get over there, we'll need to go up and around past the town of Reeve, but at least now we have an idea of where to head next. And this guy tells us that the magic ball can break down walls, something that we kind of already knew. Before we leave, let's talk to the king and save our game. He'll also tell you how many more experience points you need to get to the next level. And once we save, we're going to use that agility seed. If we only get 1 point added to our agility, we're going to reset. And that is what happened here. So we'll reset the game. We'll reload, we'll be right back here in the throne room, and then we'll use that agility seed again, and as long as we don't get another 1, we won't have to reset the game again and we can move on. If we get a 3, that is the best possible result and we'll be very happy about that, and if we get a 2, that's average, and I don't really feel like eating this agility seed 100 times to try to get the 3. If we at least get the 2 like we did here, we'll take it and move on. If you're wondering how agility works, at the beginning of each round of combat, each character and each monster has their agility score multiplied by a random factor that ranges between 25% and 100%, and then the resulting numbers will determine the order that everybody attacks in. So the highest number will go first, the lowest number will go last, and if there's any ties, party members win ties over monsters. It sounds kind of complicated, but all you really need to know about it is that characters that have higher agility will probably get their turn in combat before characters that have lower agility. If you're looking at the map, you can see that there's a cave over on the eastern side of this continent, so that's where we're headed to next. We do need to go up and around to get there, and if you're looking at the map, you'll also see that it's sectioned off into squares, and each one of those squares has a number in it. That number corresponds to the table below that tells you which monsters you might find in that area. Right now we're on a square numbered 6, so that's why we got slimes when we encountered this battle, but once we move over into Zone 7, we won't encounter the slimes anymore. It also looks like our hero has leveled up to level 4, and at level 4, that's the lowest level when we might learn the heal magic, but it doesn't look like we learned it this time. We'll have to wait until the next level. We should learn it at level 5, but if we don't learn it at level 5, we will definitely learn heal at level 6. We'll just have to rely on our pilgrim to heal us for now. And you can see that we're definitely in monster set 7 now. These monsters are a lot more powerful than the ones we were fighting previously. Magicians will constantly be using the blaze magic against us, and remember, blaze deals between 8 and 13 damage, but because we've been doing parry attacks, it's only going to be dealing about 4 to 6 damage, unless they hit Mance at the back of the party because he's unable to both parry and attack. Luckily, he should only take about 1% of the attacks, so he should be safe back there, but since he did take one fully powered blaze spell, we probably should heal him up after this battle. The good thing about fighting more powerful enemies is they're worth more experience points and gold, and it appears that our pilgrim has seen the benefits of that and is leveled up to level 5. You can cast healing magic while you're in battle, but it's going to waste your turns when you would rather be attacking, so it's always better to do your healing outside of battle when possible. If it looks like one of your party members might die, then by all means cast your healing magic during the battle, but if you're keeping your HP high when you're outside of the battle, then you probably won't get into that situation very often. Normally these scorpion wasps would hit pretty hard, but we caught them off guard and bewildered, so we got an entire free round to hit them without them hitting us back. Over here we'll find a shrine. Could this lead to the Cave of Enticement that we've been looking for? Well, not exactly, but this old man has a clue for us. If you tell him that we have the magic ball, he'll tell us that the Cave of Enticement is located near a spring, and if you tell him that you don't have the magic ball, he says that we need to go back to the town of Reeve. So this must be the spring that he was talking about, and if you go around the back, you'll find a mysterious hole, and inside is the Cave of Enticement. Inside we'll meet an old man that will confirm that we're in the right place, and will tell us that the cave has been sealed off by a stone wall. It's time to put that magic ball to use. Head down here to the wall, and use the magic ball from your item menu. It will trigger an earthquake and an explosion, and suddenly the path will be open for us to proceed. The cave itself is a bit of a maze. You do not want to fall into these open pits. You'll end up in this basement area, and that's not where you need to be. If you fall down there, take the stairs up, which will take you back to this area near the starting point. These purple spiked hares are a lot more dangerous than the horned hares that we fought earlier, because these guys can cast magic that puts our party to sleep. And hopefully we won't all fall asleep. If more than half of your party falls asleep, you may want to just try to run away. It's better than waiting around to see if people wake up, and if your entire party falls asleep, well, then you just have to kind of let the enemies beat on you until somebody wakes up, and that is a terrible situation. The path to the exit is to the right, but if we head over here to the left, we'll find a treasure chest that contains an antidote herb. If you don't have any antidote herbs in your inventory, you will definitely be happy to have at least one. There are certainly some poisoners around here. This battle should be a pretty easy one. Scorpion wasps could call for help bringing in more enemies, but they're not particularly dangerous compared to the spiked hare, which could potentially put us to sleep. So make sure that you focus most of your attacks on the spiked hare, but put somebody that can deal significant damage on the scorpion wasp just to get rid of him. So we're just going to head back this way. We're going to skip that first passage heading downwards, that's a dead end, but we'll take the second one. And this caterpillar, this is the most powerful enemy type that we might have to fight here in the Cave of Enticement. You can see that it has 40 hit points, 27 attack, and 25 defense. These are way beefier stats than anything we fought so far. Luckily, there's only one caterpillar here, so he's severely outnumbered, and we should be able to take him out, no problem. And after defeating that difficult enemy, our merchant has once again leveled up, bringing her up to level 6 already. One caterpillar is not too bad, but if we had to fight multiple caterpillars or a caterpillar paired with some other enemies, that might have been a different story. If you're looking at the map, we're on the far right side and we're heading downwards. When we get to the bottom, we're going to go over to the left and we're going to go up at the first juncture. Watch out for monster attacks when the screen transitions. And here we have 2 demon anteaters and a spiked hare. We haven't seen the demon anteaters yet, but they're not that bad. If we focus all of our attacks on the anteaters, we should be able to take them out in this first round, and as long as the spiked hare doesn't put our party to sleep, we should be able to easily finish it off in the next round. The spiked hare has much lower agility than the characters in our party, so our team members should get our hits in before this monster ever gets to go. And this time it looks like it's Mance that has gone up to the next level. An additional 2 strength, 2 more agility, and 4 more points of HP. So all good stats, and we can see how he's progressing. Already up to 24 strength. And we're going to take a quick detour over here to the left where we'll find a new weapon, the magic knife. The magic knife was designed as a weaker weapon that magic users can wield, but at plus 14 attack, it's actually better than the copper swords that we're using, so make sure to equip it on one of your characters. Either the merchant or the hero would be good. Wow, that is a lot of enemies. I think it may be a good idea to just try to run away, and although we didn't escape this time, remember we'll have a 50-50 chance of escaping the second time, and if the second run didn't work, we would have a 75% chance of escaping the third time, so each time it gets a little bit better. Now let's run from this one too. Maybe we can fight fewer than 5 enemies next time? We could probably handle those battles, but we still have to go through another floor of this cave, and would rather not have any of our characters die before we get to the next area. Now, 4 demon anteaters is a battle that we should be able to win pretty easily. These guys don't do anything except for attack. They won't try to put us to sleep or poison us, but they will concentrate their attacks on a single member of our party, and this time they've singled out Mance, who happens to be in the last slot in our party's formation, which means that he's not able to both attack and parry, so whenever he takes damage, he's taking full damage, not 50% damage like the other 3 members of our party. So this one got a little bit dicey. We almost lost Mance there, but he did survive, and now all we need to do is hit him with a heal spell, and he should be back to full HP. So you do need to watch it against certain types of enemies. Most enemies just attack randomly, but some of them will concentrate their attacks and will try to kill one of your party members. You want to take the leftmost path here, the other 2 paths are dead ends, and 4 spiked hares. Let's just run away from this one. We definitely don't want to all fall asleep. And we made it. This travel door will take us to a whole new continent. And whenever we come out on the other side, we're going to use our thief key. There's no enemies in this area, so you don't have to worry about being attacked. But as soon as we come out of this area, you will be able to be attacked on the world map, so if your HP is low, make sure you heal up before you try to walk to this next castle. Well, we didn't hit any enemies this time. This is the castle of Romaly. The area that we started out in was a fictional place, but this boot-shaped parcel of land is clearly supposed to represent Italy, and this is supposed to be Rome. Although we just started this quest and nobody in our homeworld seemed to have heard of us, over here in the town of Romaly, We're like celebrities. Somehow word got out that people were coming from Aliahan to rescue them from the Archfiend. And yeah, I guess that's us. Considering how isolated the continent of Aliahan was, I'm not sure how the people here found out that we were coming, unless maybe they felt that earthquake and heard the explosion from the Cave of Enticement. The weapons and armor shop here sells some different stuff, and we would certainly like to purchase some of these items, especially the Iron Spear. The Iron Spear is going to be one of the best early game weapons that a pilgrim can use, but it's way better than anything we have right now, so as soon as we can buy one, we'll probably just give it to the merchant, and eventually we'll pass it down to the pilgrim. We can sell off some items that we found in the Cave of Enticement to raise some extra cash, and this tool shop sells another one of those merchants-only pieces of armor, the Iron Apron, but unfortunately we can't afford it right now, and we definitely need to get the Iron Spear first. Luckily, there is a way to make some easy money in this town, and that's by gambling. But before we do that, we should probably talk to the other people in the castle and save the game with the king. This guy tells us that numbness will wear off if you just wait, but that's not entirely true. You need to move around a little bit, just like in real life. If we head down here, we'll find the House of Healing, and this woman tells us the location of our next destination. To the north of the castle lies the village of Kanave. Romaly Castle has 2 towers in the upper left and upper right corners, and if we climb the upper left one, we'll find a prison cell, and if we talk to the prisoner inside, he tells us about a villain named Kandar. Kandar is living in a place called the Tower of Shanpane, so that's somewhere that we'll have to go later. It's technically an optional side quest, but it's not a very difficult one, so we'll certainly be checking that out. If we head over here to the right, you'll see there's a door that's locked with the magic key, and then we'll find a stairway that leads to the other tower. In this tower, we find the king's father, which is pretty strange. In all of the history of monarchies that I can think of, the king never gives up power to his son, especially considering that this guy is very critical of the way that his son is ruling the kingdom. Maybe the current king married into power and his father is just along for the ride? In any case, if we head to the lower right corner, we can speak to a soldier that has a warning for us. There are terrible monsters in the east, and he recommends that we go to the north first. And that guy is right. Technically, we don't need to do anything here in this area. We can just go to the east right now and we can try to get the magic key out of the pyramid, but the enemies are very dangerous over there, so we might as well do all the optional side quests in this area first. We'll be a lot more powerful when we're done. We've been hearing a lot about this Tower of Shanpane, and there's a good reason why. You see, that Kandar guy stole the king's crown. Now, I don't know if he stole the crown so that he could sell off the jewels, or maybe it was a politically motivated theft, because let's face it, the crown is a symbol of a monarch's power, and if the monarch can't protect his own crown, how can he protect his people? The king practically begs us to bring back the golden crown, so we'll add it to our list of things to do. We have a couple other things we need to take care of first. Like, we need to get that iron spear, so let's head to the Colosseum and do some gambling. You may have noticed this stairway in the merchant district before, and it leads here to this monster fighting arena. In the monster fighting arena, the monsters will fight to the death for our amusement and so that we can gamble on their battles. It sounds like something that should be illegal, even though these are vicious and evil monsters. It seems kinda cruel to make them fight each other. We do need money, and these monster fights are probably going to go on whether we participate in them or not, so we'll head down to the desk on the left side to buy a ticket. We saved the game already, so if we lose our bet, we can just reset. But the easiest way to win is to just pick a monster that has a low number next to it. You can see here that Scorpion Wasp has a 2.3 and the other ones have a 3.9 and a 3.8, so the game thinks that the Scorpion Wasp is much more likely to win. Because the odds of him winning are better than the other monsters, we're going to get a lower payout than we would get if we bet on some of the other guys, but since he's more likely to win, we're more likely to get money at all, so instead of wasting our time, we can just bet on a likely winner and win 139 pieces of gold. Not bad. If you head over here, this guy will offer to give you a tip about the next match for 5 gold pieces, but his tips are not very good, so I don't recommend using him. If you're trying to bet on a monster and you don't like the monsters that are being offered, you can press the B button to cancel out of it, leave the monster arena through the stairway and come back, and you'll have different monsters you can bet on. So let's see what we have. Same exact monsters this time, so let's bet on our good friend the Scorpion Wasp again. He got it done the previous time. Round 1, fight! Later on in the game, we'll get an item that will let us actually cheat at the monster arena, but right now the best thing we can do is pick the favorites, save after we win, and reset and reload if we lose. By doing this, you should be able to build up a decent amount of money fast, at least a lot faster than fighting monsters out in the wild. And it looks like the Scorpion Wasp is your new heavyweight champion of the world. Collect your 139 gold pieces. Now that we have the money that we need, we're going to sell off the copper sword that our merchant is currently using because we're not going to need that anymore. And now we will go over to the weapons and armor shop and buy that iron spear. So this guy will sell us the iron spear, and don't forget to equip it after you buy it. Otherwise your merchant will be fighting barehanded, and she is not a fighter. So yeah, we'll need to make sure that we put that on before we leave town, or maybe as soon as we get outside. So we're going to equip the iron spear. And at this point in the game, we need to level grind. We're not going to be doing a lot of regular level grinds in this game. We're going to be power leveling most of the time. But right now, we need to get our hero to learn the return magic before we can really move on in the game. So we're just going to hang out near the town of Romaly. We're going to keep fighting the enemies, we'll build up experience points. If you get low on health or magic points, just go back to town and use the inn. Save every once in a while if you want to. If any of your characters get killed, go to the House of Healing and revive them. The most dangerous enemy that we'll meet in this area, at least during the daytime, is the Rogue Knight. The Rogue Knight has 55 hit points, 47 attack, and with 45 defense, it's going to be kind of difficult to deal damage to him. He also summons these healers, and whenever there's a healer in play, you need to get rid of that thing because it'll keep healing the Rogue Knight, and we won't be able to deal significant damage to it. We can try our Blaze magic against the Rogue Knight. That would ignore his defense, so that could be a good strategy. And if you're looking at the monster data on the left side of the screen, you'll see that under Fire, the Rogue Knight has a resistance of 1. So if it's green, then your spell will always work. If it has an X, it's not going to work at all. But if it has a 1, it has a 70% chance of success, so a very good chance that Blaze, a fire-based spell, will work against the Rogue Knight, but there is about a 30% chance that it will fail like it did there. If there's a 2 for the resistance, that means it has a 70% chance to fail. So if there's a 1, you can try that magic, just understand that it might fail, but it will probably succeed. If there's a 2, you should not expect that spell to succeed, and you probably shouldn't try it at all. Once the healers are removed, it shouldn't be too hard to get rid of the Rogue Knight, and hopefully he won't keep summoning more of those guys. They are very annoying. That time, the Blaze magic did the full 13 damage, so that was very good. And we're just going to fight. We'll use Blaze to penetrate his defense, and hopefully we'll be able to finish him off this round. And that's it. We took out the Rogue Knight and all of his healer cronies, and our hero leveled up to level 5. We gained a lot of good stats on our hero, and we also learned a new spell, but don't get too excited about that. It's not the return magic, it's just going to be that heal spell that we should have learned at level 4. We also gained a level on our Pilgrim, although he did not learn a spell this time. And let's take a look at our stats. 29 attack power on our hero, and there's that heal spell, so it's always nice to have a second healer, even if she does not have a lot of magic points. And here's Kylo, who has 28 attack power himself on a healing character, so pretty good. Let's use that heal magic, not from the hero, but from the Pilgrim, and keep your stats high as you're leveling up. Don't worry too much about losing your money if you have to bring a character back from the dead or use the inn, because once we get that return magic, we're going to have access to a lot of cash, and money won't be as big of an issue anymore. So now we're all healed up at the inn, and we're ready to go back to leveling up, and we're just going to stay in the same area for now. Once our hero gets to about level 6, maybe we'll take a walk to the next city. But for now, let's hang out close to Romaly. These enemies are pretty easy to fight. So we've certainly fought these guys before. Remember that the spiked hares are probably the priority target in this combination because they're the ones that can put you to sleep. Once we get rid of the spiked hare, and that one ran away, so we're not going to get experience points, unfortunately, for that, but he is out of the picture at least, and now we can focus on the caterpillars. Caterpillars are pretty one-dimensional. They have pretty decent amount of defense, but they're not going to be able to deal us a lot of damage. So we're just going to lay a beat down on these guys, and they should be defeated pretty easily. Oh no, 3 damage points. Whatever shall we do? You can see how these enemies are constantly targeting the characters that are in the front of our formation, so that's why formation is so important. Later on in the game, our fighter will actually be the front member of our party, but a lot of things will have changed by then. Of course, our merchant is the first character to reach level 7, and she's progressing pretty well. Let's take a look at her stats. And you can see the most important thing here is maximum hit points 41, which is very nice for the character in the front of our party. And here, 4 spiked hares. These seem like they should be easy, but when there's this many of them, there's a very good chance that they're going to use their sleep magic. And, well, here it is. You can see how the sleep magic can just wreak havoc on our team, taking 2 of our characters out of the mix. So now we have to try to do this with only 2 characters, and remember to only parry with 1 character when you only have 2 of them, or you'll accidentally make the entire team parry, so make sure you're paying attention when you're fighting. And, well, everybody was asleep there for a moment, but luckily Kylo woke up. And there's only 1 of these spiked hares left, or we should maybe bail out on this battle, but we should be able to win this one on this round with at least 2 attacks. And there it is. And it looks like our fighter is now on level 6. Plus 4 agility is pretty nice, as well as an additional 6 hit points. Make sure that you're healing your characters immediately after battle, even if your intention is just to walk back to town. You don't want to be caught off guard by the monsters. One enemy that you do need to watch out for in this area is the poison toad. The magician will deal more damage than the poison toad, so he's probably the higher priority target here, but a poison toad is 40% likely to poison one of your characters whenever he attacks. So if you don't have any antidote herbs, that could become a crisis. If you have a decent supply of herbs, it's not a big deal at all, so that's the moral of the story. Just make sure you have a couple antidotes on hand. And our hero has leveled up to level 6, and we gained a bunch of good stats and a new spell, but this is not going to be return, it's just going to be the same expel spell that we learned on the Pilgrim. And our Pilgrim has also leveled up, this time to level 7, and he learned a new spell, but this is a very good spell. This is the spell of Speed Up. So you can see our hero learned Expel, and the Speed Up spell only costs 3 magic points, and it will raise the entire party's agility significantly. So that is a spell that we're going to be casting at the very beginning of most boss fights. Oh no, what happened to those dogs? Their eyeballs are falling out. These Pups aren't that bad. They have a lot of hit points, but they don't have much defense. One thing that they can do is cast the spell of Slow against our party, and that will reduce everyone's agility, so it'll make us go later in combat. Usually we'll be able to take out 1 or 2 of these before they do it, and when there's only 1 left it's not as big of a deal, but just understand after you get slowed down, your characters may not always attack first, and that's something that we were kind of getting used to here. So because we were affected by the slow spell, the Pup got to go first, but there's only 1 of them left and he only dealt 3 damage, so our party was easily able to win the battle. And our merchant is now on level 8, 2 levels ahead of our hero. Gained 9 points of HP this time. Remember that it's the merchant's job right now to protect the rest of the party by taking most of the hits at the front of the formation, so having 50 HP will certainly help with that. At this point, we're going to take a walk to the next town, Kanave, but before we go there, we should use the inn down here in Romaly, and maybe save the game with the king. By saving the game now while the hero is at level 6, whenever we get level 7, if we don't learn the return spell, we could consider resetting the game and trying to get level 7 again. Maybe we would learn the spell the second time. Or you can just try to level up to level 8, or level 9 would be the highest level you would ever have to get to learn return. Before we leave town, we're going to stop by the weapons and armor shop. We built up some money during that level grind, and we've been getting away with using substandard armor because we've been doing that parry trick. But it's still a good idea to at least buy a set of chainmail for the character at the front of your party. So we're going to equip the merchant with the chainmail, and that should help out whenever we take some damage. The monsters are only going to get meaner as we get farther away from town, and we're going to walk through a bunch of those orange hills, which means there's going to be a very high encounter rate on the way to the next town. It looks like we've stumbled onto an enemy variety pack. The most dangerous targets in this set are the Magician and the Spiked Hair. The Magician can deal the most damage with the blaze spells, and the Spiked Hair can make our team fall asleep, so we want to take out those 2 in the first round. So we'll focus our attacks mostly on the Magician, but we'll put Ray on the Spiked Hair so she can finish him off, and that just leaves the Caterpillar and the Poison Toad. The Poison Toad is the highest priority now. The Caterpillar, not a very dangerous target at all. The Caterpillar is just kind of a big buff thing that doesn't do much other than attack. So once the Poison Toad that can poison us is removed, the Caterpillar will go down easily. So we're just going to fight, and we should easily defeat the Caterpillar on this round. Oh, he did get a hit in though. And that's it, we've vanquished all of our foes. Before we head to the next town, we can check out this shrine over here on the left. Well, we got attacked by a couple caterpillars, looking like they should be blowing letter-shaped smoke rings in Alice in Wonderland. Who are you? These guys are easy. Just fight, 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 and they will go down quickly. And let's go into the shrine. Inside you can see that there's a locked door that we need the magic key to open. Once we do get that key, we're going to have to come back here because that is how you get to the city of Portoga. And we have a couple magicians and a poison toad to take out. So we'll finish those guys, and it looks like they had a treasure chest. One thing that you should know about the treasure chests is that it's the last enemy that you kill that can possibly drop a treasure. Our fighter also leveled up to level 7 and is getting a lot more powerful now. Let's take a look at his stats. 34 hit points, 28 attack power, building up pretty nicely, but doesn't even have a weapon yet. Stay out of the hills for as long as you can, but eventually you'll have to start walking in them, and that's where the encounter rate is the highest. It's possible to take the path on the right side of the map that just goes through the forest, but that path is much longer, and you'll end up having to walk through some hills at the end anyways. Up here we met another rogue knight. Remember that not too long ago these were kinda difficult, but they're a good bit easier now. We still should prioritize taking out any healers that they might summon. So if he brings in a healer, focus your attacks on it. But we should have a lot less difficulty fighting a rogue knight now. And wow, our merchant got a critical hit, so critical hits ignore defense, and they are going to be extremely good against something like a rogue knight. A single healer has no chance against our party. So let's see what we got out of the treasure chest. It's the strength seed, of course. And we'll keep making our way up towards the village, but remember, we're in the hills now, so the encounter rate is very high. If you get low on hit points after a battle, make sure that you heal before you take a single step. The town is only about 9 or 10 steps away right now, but that seems like miles when you're going through these hills. And here's a new enemy we haven't seen before, the army crabs. Army crabs have very high defense, even higher than a rogue knight, significantly higher. Normally you would fight an enemy like this by reducing its defense with the sap or defense spell, but we don't have either of those spells right now, so we're going to have to focus on just using our attacks, and if you have magic points, you can try casting Blaze against these guys. They have absolutely no resistance to it. And great, a third army crab has arrived, bringing us back to square one. That's good for earning experience points and gold, but considering how much energy it takes to kill one of these things, if they keep calling in reinforcements, this battle could wear on for a long time. We're getting low on magic points for our hero, so after she casts the Blaze spell this time, she won't be able to use any more magic until we get to town and use an inn. The only character that seems to be able to deal significant damage to these army crabs right now is the merchant, and that's because she has that iron spear that we bought in Romaly. Everyone else is only dealing 1 damage at a time, so if this guy calls in Army Crab letter D, that could become a problem, especially considering that Kylo is down to 6 hit points. We just have to keep fighting and hope for the best. Make sure that you're parrying with the 3 front members of your formation so that they only take half damage. And maybe we can get it done in this round. Come on, big money. The fighter keeps missing and, wow, okay. 1 damage from the pilgrim was all that we needed. And I am very happy that that battle is over. So how many more battles are we going to have to fight to take a few more steps to get to town? Well, considering that we hit a battle on the very next step, it could be a lot. This one looks pretty easy, there's only 2 enemies here, so we'll make sure that we finish off the Killer Bee in the first round, and if the Pupa is still around, our entire team will be able to gang up on him and win the rest of the battle. So that looks like that's what's going to happen here. And although the Pupa cast the slow spell, that also means that he didn't attack last round, so essentially that guy only did a total of 2 damage in this entire battle. Just a few steps more to the town of Kanave. And alright, another battle, but this is an easy one. 2 caterpillars and a killer bee. The killer bee would be your priority target because the caterpillars are easy. And once that bee is out of the way, we'll be able to finish up this battle. And after this one, our pilgrim has gone up to level 8. So we'll see what kind of stats that we gained. And at level 8, did we learn a new spell? We did, and the new spell is going to be Surround. Surround costs 4 magic points. It targets a group of enemies, and if the enemies are afflicted by it, they will be more than 50% likely to miss whenever they do a melee attack. And that brings us to the village of Kanave. As we explore the town, we'll meet this guy that tells us that the Tower of Shanpane is to the west, and when we head past the House of Healing, we'll meet another guy that's standing in front of a tombstone, or at least that's what I assume it is based on the context. It looks more like a stove with a built-in oven to me. This town also has an amazing weapons and armor shop. The half-plate armor and the iron shield would be huge upgrades compared to what we're using right now, but more importantly, they sell some good equipment for fighters here. The fighting suit is the highest defense armor that our fighter can wear. If our fighter was a female, she would be able to wear the magic bikini, which is higher defense, but the fighting suit is going to be it for a male fighter. The Iron Claw is also very important. That's one of the only weapons that a fighter can use that will actually increase his damage. Over here is the item shop. They also sell the Iron Apron here, and they sell an item, the Full Moon Herb, which will cure the numb status, although the numb status will recover on its own without an item. This store has a back door that we can open with our key, but you'll see that the merchant is standing in the way of those chests. If you want to collect those, you'll have to come back at night. The items that you'll find are the poison needle and the club. The poison needle is one of the best weapons that a wizard can use, but only wizards can use it, so it's not super important to get unless you have a wizard in your party. We'll come back and get it later when it's more convenient. Here at the village eatery, we hear about a sleeping village to the north. That's the next place that we're going to go, but we're going to get a lot better equipped first. If you head down here and talk to this man sitting on the small island, he'll tell you again about the poison needle, and the way that the poison needle works is 1 in 8 attacks will automatically kill an enemy. So a wizard's pretty ineffective in melee combat, but with the poison needle, at least 1 in 8 times they will be pretty good. We still need to gain 1 more level on our hero before we'll have a chance at learning the return spell, so we'll try to get the remaining experience points that we need by fighting the slightly more difficult monsters outside of this town. These guys aren't too bad. The only ones that you really need to worry about would be a large team of army crabs. With the weapons that we have right now, you may not be able to take them out, so you might want to run if you see those guys, but almost anything else you should be able to handle. That battle was worth a decent amount of experience points, and yes, we got the level that we were looking for. Let's see if we learn a spell. Come on, come on, come on. There it is. Ray learns a new spell. So we'll use the return magic from the menu, and you can see it brings up a list of previously visited towns. And we'll use that magic to go back to Aliahan. Now that we're back in our hometown, it's time to make some money. Head on over to Louisa's place and drop off the 3 additional members of your party so that only your hero is remaining. You may want to move a lot of your hero's equipment off of your hero and onto those other characters before you drop them off. Now you may remember before that I said there was a glitch that is triggered whenever you register 8 characters, so you can see what spells we know right now. Well, let's see what happens whenever we register someone new. This is very dangerous to do if you don't already know the return magic, but if you have that spell memorized, well, there's no downside to doing this. So we're going to register a soldier, and now that we have a full roster, let's take a look at our status. Everything seems normal here, but we suddenly know the first 8 spells. If you had done this before, you would not be able to use the return or heal magic outside of battle, so that's why we had to wait until we learned those spells naturally. Now that we're not worried about triggering that glitch, we're going to make a full roster of soldiers by deleting all of the other characters except for our main 3 and making new soldiers in their place. You don't have to worry about deleting a character that you want to keep by accident, because the game will not let you delete anybody that has equipment. Each soldier that you create comes with a club and a set of leather armor that you can sell for a total of 134 gold. That means if you create a full roster of 8 soldiers and then take all of their equipment, we'll be able to sell it for a total of over 1,000 gold. So we're going to add all of the soldiers that we created to our party, and we're going to consolidate all of their equipment onto a couple characters so that all of the stuff is on one party of 4 people, and then we'll be able to sell it all in one trip to the store. So we're just going to add some soldiers to our party, and then we're going to transfer their equipment first to Ray, and then we could transfer some of it to the first soldier in line. So we're just going to try to get everything on those first 2 guys, and then we'll leave behind the bottom 2 once they don't have any equipment, and we'll bring a couple more soldiers in, and we'll keep doing that until we've added all of the soldiers to our party and we don't need to consolidate the equipment off of the last couple. We'll just walk down to the store and start selling all the stuff. This can be a little bit tedious to do, and it is somewhat time consuming, but whenever we're fighting battles against the enemies, we're getting like 15 to 20 gold pieces at a time, so it's going to take us hours to build up 1,000 gold, and we can do it in just a few minutes here. Our party has been using substandard equipment for some time. You may have noticed that we already struggled a little bit with the army crabs, and the monsters in the dungeons ahead are only going to get more difficult, so we need to keep doing this over and over again until we build up a lot of money. I recommend getting at least 6,000 gold, but you probably need more like 9,000 if you have the patience for it. So we're just going to make sets of 8 soldiers, sell all of their equipment, then we're going to drop them back off here at the lower part of Louisa's, and then we'll go back upstairs where we'll make a new set of 8 soldiers, and we'll just keep doing that over and over again until we have enough money. I like to name the soldiers A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, and when I make a new set, I'll call them A, B, B, C, C, and so on, and I'll just switch back and forth between single and double letters so that I remember which ones I've deleted and which ones that I have not deleted yet. After you've done this a few times, you'll get pretty fast at it, and it won't be long before you're at the item shop and you notice that you have over 9,000 gold. At this point, we'll head back to Louisa's place, drop off our soldier friends, and pick up our normal party. After that, we can head back to Ray's mom's house so we can maybe get some Hot Pockets and stay the night. And then we'll go shopping. We have a lot of stuff that we need to buy. And the first items that we're going to purchase are going to be in the town of Kanave. And we'll be able to get there pretty easily. We can just cast the return spell since that's a town that we've been to already. The next items that we need after that though, those are a little bit farther away in a town that we've not been to yet. So that's a whole nother can of worms. One thing that is a little bit annoying right now is that the return magic spell costs 8 magic points to use, so that means our hero can only cast it one time before she has to stay at an inn or do something to restore her magic points. You don't actually have to go outside to be able to cast the return spell. You can cast a return spell while you're inside of a town. You just can't cast it when you're in a dungeon. So we're going to go back to Kanave, and you remember that amazing weapons and armor shop here? Well, there's definitely some things we want to buy. We're going to move around some items to make room for some new stuff that we're going to buy. And at this store, the most important thing that we're going to get is the Iron Claw. After that, we'd also like to buy 2 sets of half-plate armor, one for our hero and one for the merchant. And if we have enough money, we should buy 2 iron shields and a bronze shield. The pilgrim unfortunately cannot use an iron shield, so that's why we're getting a bronze shield for him. And we're not going to buy the fighting suit right now. We're going to save our money because we need at least 5,000 gold in the next city, and we will be able to sell some of the equipment that we have right now, but we don't want to spend too much that we come up short whenever we get there. The pilgrim is going to inherit the chainmail that one of our characters was wearing earlier, so he'll get a little bit of an upgrade to his armor even though we're not buying anything for him here. And that's everything we needed. We have about 4,700 gold pieces left, so we should be able to make up the difference by selling some of our unused items. And make sure to equip all the new stuff that you bought. So we'll put on the half plate, the iron shield, we already had a helmet for her. And then we'll equip Kylo here with that chainmail and the bronze shield. And we also need to equip our fighter. And this Iron Claw is going to be a huge difference for the fighter. We'll still be using that weapon on the final boss. Now we'll head over here and sell off some stuff that we don't need. If you didn't have enough money, you should not buy the shields, but make sure you get the Iron Claw and the half-plate armors at minimum. If you don't have enough money after that, you should probably raise more money by making more soldiers back in the town of Aliahan. We'll sell off some of this old gear that we don't need anymore. Our new equipment is going to be light years better than what we were using before. It's going to be extremely noticeable. And after we sell the leather armor here, we should be over the 5,000 gold that we need when we get to the next town. And so that's all that we need to do here in Kanave, and we can stay at the inn because we don't have enough magic points to cast return, which is a little bit annoying, but that's just the way that it is. And then we don't have to actually leave town to cast the return magic. Next we're going to the town of Romaly. We don't need to buy anything here. We're only stopping at this town because we need to walk to the next village, and this is the nearest place to walk there from. We should also stay at the inn, and we're carrying a ton of money, so we should save the game just in case we get killed. Then we can reset and reload, and we won't have lost any of our cash. If you're still carrying any items like the Seeds of Strength, now is a good time to use them. I would use it on the hero or maybe the fighter. And then we're going to head out from here. The thing about the next town is we don't have to just get there. We need to get there when it's nighttime, so that adds an additional complication. The best way to do it is to hang out in this area right here above the bridge. And I may actually have stepped one space too far south. You want to try to stay in this quadrant so that you're only fighting these easy enemies. And just fight any enemies that you encounter. We have pretty good equipment and very high levels for fighting these enemies right now, but you want to stay away from enemy set C. Those guys are way more difficult. So we should easily be able to defeat these magicians, poison toads, and spiked hares. And we don't need to wait until it completely turns to night. We want to wait until it's evening, so it's like one step away from night, and then we'll start making our way across the bridge towards the next town, and we should get there right as it turns to actual night. And that's the goal. And it looks like our merchant has leveled up again, this time to level 9. She's almost to double-digit levels already. That's how fast merchants level up. We'll take a look at our merchant status. 54 defense is very good at this part of the game. And once it turns to evening, we're going to cross the bridge, and these monsters are very dangerous. Here's how we're going to handle them. You're going to parry as if you were about to fight, but instead of fighting, you're going to run. That way, if you get blocked and you can't run away, the enemies will still only deal half damage, so you still get credit for parrying, even if you run. So far, we've been pretty lucky with the runs, but these monsters are very vicious, so you don't want to take any chances. Make sure that you do the parries before you run. And we made it to the next town. This is the town of Assaram, or maybe it's Assaram? All I can tell you is I definitely did not make up the name of this city. Assaram is sort of a Middle Eastern bazaar town, and it's very active at night. Right now there's a belly dancing show going on, so we can go check that out. And if we talk to some of these girls, one of them even thinks that we might be good enough to join the show. It's not so hard. Yeah, if you say so. And it seems that we're picking it up. Alright. This guy welcomes us to the theater, so that's nice. And we can see that the House of Healing is open late. And if we head over here, we can talk to this soldier who tells us about an item called the Poison Moth Powder that you can use to confuse monsters. But this is what we were looking for. This is the shop that's only open at night, and this guy sells the battle axe. So we want to buy 2 of those. Right now, our hero was using a weapon that adds plus 14 to attack, while the battle axe adds plus 43. This is going to be a ridiculous upgrade. Kylo, our pilgrim, was using a copper sword that only has plus 12, and although he can't wield a battle axe, he's going to get to use the iron spear now, so we'll transfer that to him. And the iron spear has plus 28 on it, so that's a pretty decent upgrade even for a hand-me-down item. Our characters are way better now, but we've spent all of our money. There are a few better pieces of equipment that we could buy at this point in the game if we have enough patience and want to do a few more of those soldier loops, but those items are available during the day. So before we stay at the inn, let's see what these guys have to say. Mumble mumble, alright, very informative. And let's see what this guy has to say. We'll use our key and just, walk in on him while he's sleeping at night. And he's just sleeping. Yeah, it's a little bit scary that people can just come in while you're sleeping at the inn. I don't like knowing that, but I'm staying here anyways. I guess that's just how it goes. In the daytime, we can check out the bazaar. This woman welcomes us to the town of Assaram, but she doesn't give us any information about how it got that name. It seems that this town is known for its belly dancing, and this guy gives us an interesting tip. He says that when you buy an item in this town, try not to let on that you want it. That guy in the balaclava recommends that we show back up at night, and you can see that the theater is only open in the nighttime, and during the day, the belly dancers are practicing. There's 4 of them here during the day, but it seems that one of them just isn't getting it, so I guess she has to stay outside and greet everybody that comes to the show instead. So this is what that guy was talking about. This store doesn't display any prices for its merchandise, So if you just keep telling this guy no, he'll keep lowering the price until he gets down to a certain number, and at that point he won't be able to go any lower. This guy's lowest price on a medical herb is 16 gold pieces, and if you do the math, you'll realize that we just got ripped off. Even if you pay the lowest price at these barter shops, you're going to end up paying double what the item is worth, so you shouldn't do a lot of shopping here unless you're buying unique items that you can't get anywhere else, like the iron helmet. You'll end up paying 2,000 as the lowest price for the iron helmet, but as a plus 16 helm, that's actually the best helmet that a pilgrim or a sage can wear in the entire game, so if you have the money, you'll certainly want to pick up a couple of those. 2,000 gold a pop, that's a lot more soldiers that we need to create, so we'll survive without those iron helmets for now, but we'll definitely need to pick up some of those in the future. This item shop is not open at night, so now that we bought those battle axes, we have a couple weapons that we don't need anymore, so we'll sell off the magic knife and the copper sword right now. Once you're done selling things that you don't need anymore, there is one more store in this town, and it's the one located opposite of this one. This guy is your standard weapons and armor store, except he sells one very expensive piece of equipment, the revealing swimsuit. The revealing swimsuit definitely is not worth the money, but later in the game when we have a ton of extra gold pieces, we can come back here and buy it just for fun. Once we're done shopping, if you head east from Assaram, you'll hit a desert, and in that desert we'll find a new city, the City of Isis, as well as the pyramid where we can get the magic key. But even with all of our new equipment, that's still going to be a pretty difficult dungeon, so instead we're going to go back and do a couple of those side quests that we haven't attempted yet. So we headed back to Kanave and we're going to stay at the inn here, and next we can either go get the golden crown from the Tower of Shanpane, or we can head up north and try to wake up the sleeping city. And so that's what we're going to do first. The enemies in the tower are probably a bit easier than the ones in the dungeon that we need to go to wake up the city, but we're going to be able to gain a ton of levels by doing the sleeping city quest, so by the time we fight the boss in the Tower of Shanpane, he's going to be super easy. As we fight these pups, you can really notice the difference that our new equipment makes. Before we had to hit these guys several times, but now you can see that we deal massive amounts of damage with every attack. 19 damage, 31 damage, 25 damage. Yeah, these enemies don't stand a chance against our powered up team. So we're just going to fight. That enemy was only able to deal 1 damage when it attacked. So yeah, we're pretty safe against those guys. We just need to get out of the mountains here, and these killer bees should be very easy considering how much equipment we have. And once we get up north, we're going to see another city. This is the city of Noaniels. As we enter, we notice that the greeter to the city seems to be asleep standing up. And that's the case with almost everyone in this city. This city has been put under a terrible curse. The curse was levied against them by the Queen of the Elves, and we'll find out more about that when we head down this small stairway. This is the only guy in town that's actually awake right now. He says that we need to return an item called the Dream Ruby to the Elves, and if we do that, maybe we'll be able to wake up the city. So that's our next quest. We're going to head over here to the left, and if we just keep following the path and then head into the trees, we'll notice a small clearing over to the left, and that's the hidden village of the Elves. As we head over that way, we encounter a new enemy type. These poison silkworms can do a poison breath attack that can poison multiple members of your team, so although they're not that hard to kill, they can be pretty annoying. It looks like our fighter has gained another level, making him even more powerful, and we were able to make it into the hidden village of the Elves without fighting any additional battles. You don't have to talk to very many citizens of this town to realize that human beings are not welcome here. Well, with the exception of this one old man, and you'd think they wouldn't like him very much, considering that it was his son that eloped with the elfin princess, and that's the reason why they're all mad. This store won't sell anything to a human, which is extremely unfortunate because that's an awesome store. It's the only store in the entire game that sells wizard rings. We will be able to shop there later whenever we have the Staff of Change, but it'll be quite some time before then. The Elf Queen tells us a tragic story about how her daughter Anne stole a relic, the Dream Ruby, and ran away with a human boy, never to be seen again. If we want to be able to wake up the town of Noaniels, we'll need to get that Dream Ruby back, and to find it, we'll need to track down Anne and her man. Their last known whereabouts were in this cave right near the hidden village of the Elves, and as we get started here, we can look in this treasure chest to find a Wing of the Wyvern. Watch out for enemy attacks whenever the screen transitions. There's only 4 different enemy types in this entire dungeon, but they're all pretty nasty. These deadly toadstools are some of the worst. They can do a sleeping breath attack that can put multiple members of your party to sleep. It could potentially hit everyone. This time it only affected 1 member of our party, and there's only 1 deadly toadstool left, so we should be able to easily finish this battle. But if multiple members of your party fall asleep, those fights can get dicey. This dungeon is really about endurance. None of the enemies are super difficult on their own, but over time they'll chip away at your party, they'll cause you to use healing magic, and you'll end up running out of MP. If you run out of magic points and you can't heal your team anymore, you're going to be in big trouble. The good news is though, there's a recovery spring in here, and if you can make it to the recovery spring, you'll get all of your health and magic points back. So if you know that you're going to be headed there, you can be a little bit more aggressive with your magic. The Mad Hound here is an upgrade of the Putrapup enemies that we fought earlier, but instead of casting the slow magic against us, this guy can cast a defense spell, which will reduce your party members' defense, which will allow the enemies to deal you more damage. The deadly toadstools are definitely a higher priority target because they can put you to sleep, but a group of Mad Hounds can hit you very hard if they hit with one of those defense spells first. Make sure you keep everyone's health high between battles, and here's that same Mad Hound to deadly toadstools again. This time the deadly toadstools put 3 of our characters to sleep, so that's a little bit concerning, but once everyone wakes up, the enemies are really no problem, and it seems that our hero has leveled up to level 8. So getting a lot more powerful, plus 14 hit points, and our pilgrim has leveled up as well, so that was a very profitable battle. These enemies are a little bit high level for our party right now, so we're going to be able to level up very fast by fighting these guys. Our pilgrim learned the spell of sleep, and sleep only costs 3 magic points. It targets an entire group of enemies, and if enemies fall asleep, they miss at least 1 turn of combat, and if they don't wake up, they can miss multiple turns of combat, making them sitting ducks. So you can see how effective sleep is against our party. If there are enemies that you fight that are not resistant to sleep magic, it's very powerful. Wow, 3 vampires and a deadly toadstool? The vampires use magic attacks against our party like Ice Bolt, and Ice Bolt can deal a ton of damage, so we need to make sure someone takes out the deadly toadstool so that we don't get put to sleep. But we can't last very long against 3 vampires, so we need to remove at least a couple of them, and we need to hope that parrying first is going to keep us from taking too much damage from their magic. If you're worried about fighting this many vampires and you want to run away, make sure that you parry first, because if your way is blocked, you can take a ton of damage from their magic. Our merchant has made it to level 10, so that's halfway to level 20, and at level 20 we'll be able to change her class. The merchant is very good right now, but won't be very good later in the game, so we'll be very happy when we're able to convert her into a sage, which will be able to learn both wizard and pilgrim magic. If you head over and up here, you'll find a chest that contains 288 gold pieces, and as you travel along here in this cave, you need to remember what your top level goal is. You might be thinking, the top level goal right now is that we get the Dream Ruby and pick up any other loot that we can find. But no, that's not it. Those are things that we want to do, but they're not the most important thing. The most important thing is that we level up our characters as we go through here, so if one of your characters dies, I recommend bailing out of this dungeon, get them revived and then come back. And if your whole team gets wiped out but you fought a lot of battles, you don't want to reset the game. Instead, you may just want to revive everybody and keep the experience points that you earned. If you never get the Dream Ruby, you can still beat the game, and the rewards for completing this quest aren't that impressive, plus you could always just come back and do it later. That being said, we are going to do our best to get the Dream Ruby out of here, and one of the more useful treasure chests that you might find is this one that contains the Acorns of Life. The Acorns of Life is similar to the seeds that increase other stats, but the Acorns of Life can increase your hit points by 1 to 5 instead of 1 to 3. These man-eater moths are a pretty mean insect. You may remember the masked moth from earlier. While these guys are similar, they can also cast the surround magic against us, but they can also poison you or call more moths in to help. After grabbing that Acorns of Life, you can take this stairway, which will bring you back near the starting point, and if we head down this staircase, which is labeled E on the map, that'll bring you out over here, which is right near that recovery spring. We actually have to go around a long path to get to the recovery spring, but it works sort of like an inn. It will restore all of your health and your magic points, and it'll do it for free. And our fighter just went up to level 9. He gained 3 points of strength, 4 points of agility, 4 points of vitality, and 8 hit points, which is very good, and right now he's down to 14 hit points, which is a little bit reckless. We need to heal him right away. The recovery spring might not look that far away, but there's a good chance that we'll have to fight multiple battles before we get there, including this one against 3 vampires and a madhound. A very dangerous battle. You may want to consider running away from this one if you're getting low on magic points and you just want to make it to the recovery spring, but I think we can handle this. So we want to take out the vampires first. They do those very nasty ice magic attacks, and we can try our sleep magic against the vampires. They're not extremely resistant to it. They're only 30% resistant. They have a number 1 on the sleep scale. And if we do manage to put 1 or 2 of them to sleep, that would really help take them out of combat. We can also be a little more aggressive with our magic since we're almost to the recovery spring. Heading to this recovery spring is kind of a long detour, but remember, our goal is to level up, and going to this spring is going to take us to the very best place in the cave to level up, because we can just keep fighting monsters, and you could use the recovery spring theoretically after every fight. We're just going to use it the one time for now, but if you want to hang out here and try to level up, this is a great place to do it. So now we're going to backtrack out from where the recovery spring is, and we're going to make our way to the Dream Ruby. As we walked out of there, we didn't encounter any enemies, which is pretty crazy considering how many we encountered on the way in. Well, sometimes you get lucky like that in this game. We encountered 4 Madhounds here, so we're just going to quickly go through them. They're not extremely dangerous, but they can do a good bit of damage to you after they cast that defense spell, so just try to finish them off as quickly as possible. Just keep fighting. And here's 2 vampires. We've faced a lot of vampires already in this cave, and a pair of them is really not problematic. It's only bad whenever you have to fight multiple vampires with other enemies. And here's a single vampire, another very easy fight, and an easy way to grab 21 experience points for each character. Up here we can find a strength seed, so that could be another treasure chest that might be worth your time. Over on the left side we're going to find a magic knife, and we can sell that for money, so that's something, but I don't think this chest is quite as important. What is important is that our pilgrim just leveled up to level 10, so we now have 2 characters in the double digits, and he learned a new spell. So let's take a look at his status and see what he learned. This time we learned the Sap magic, and Sap is a good one. It only hits 1 enemy and it costs 3 magic points, but it will reduce that enemy's defense, so that's a good one to use against bosses. If you want to know a monster's resistance to the Sap spell, it would be the same as the defense spell. And our hero leveled up this time. Now she's at level 9. We gained a lot more hit points, only 1 magic point, and no new spells, but it's always good to level up. Over here we'll find that magic knife, which we can sell for a small amount of gold. So not very exciting. And what we need to do now is make our way to Stairway F. And whoa, 5 deadly toadstools? This one is always like rolling the dice. You never know when they could put your entire team to sleep. So if you're lucky, we'll take out 3, maybe even 4 of them in the first round. And if not, almost everyone will be asleep when we get to the second round and will want to run away. This was one of the good ones. Oh, well. Our merchant took a hit that put her to sleep, so it wasn't the sleep breath. But our other teammates were able to finish the battle. And even though she was asleep, our merchant leveled up. So that puts her at level 11. Let's take a look at her stats. 60 attack power, very powerful. And if you don't remember how attack power works, you're going to take the enemy's defense. So let's say you're fighting something like a Madhound. Alright, a Madhound has 22 defense, so you divide that number by 2, so 22 divided by 2 is 11. And then we're going to subtract that defense from our attack power. So 60 minus 11 is 49. And then if you divide that number in half, that will get you your average damage. So on average, our merchant will deal about 25 damage to a Madhound. Because there's a random factor involved, it could be a little higher than that, it could be a little bit lower than that, but it's going to be right around that 25. If you have a decent understanding of how much damage you can potentially deal to the monsters, it will let you know if you need to have 2 party members attack an individual monster, or if maybe you can get by with just having a person attack that monster by themselves. We're going to skip that staircase, that one leads to a dead end, and down here we're going to find 80 gold pieces after we battle these Madhounds and Man-Eater Moths. Either of these enemy types is probably going to take 2 hits from any of our party members to kill, so we can either split up our attacks 2 and 2, which is what we did here, or we can just have everybody concentrate on fighting the moths and hope that they don't cast Surround on us. If they do the poison attack, that's a little bit annoying too because we only have so many antidotes, but I think we're okay if they do that to us. We're a little bit more worried about not being able to hit anything in combat. And one more hit should finish this guy off. He only has 26 hit points, so we'll just do an all-out attack. And that's gonna do it. 72 experience points is pretty good for that fight, although it will cost us a decent amount of magic points to heal up from it. So we'll do a couple more heals, definitely one for Ray. And here's that 80 gold pieces. So feel free to avoid that treasure chest if you don't want it. It's not one of the more important ones. And here's a single vampire, which we know we can very quickly defeat. That guy didn't do anything to us. And we're going to head up here and head to the left. Here's 4 Madhounds again. I can't tell you how many times we've seen that fight. They have reduced our defense at this point, but we're going to quickly clear them this round, so it's no big deal. And our fighter is now at level 10, plus 4 strength, plus 3 agility, and a couple more hit points. Pretty decent. We're just going to keep heading this way. The way that we need to go is Stairway G, and that's over to the right there. But there's one more treasure chest over here, and whoa, these guys are suddenly attacking us? Well, I'm glad that one of the moths decided to just run away. That moth just surprised us and ran away, and we should probably do the same thing. We'll parry first just in case, but we did escape, and down here we'll find that chest that contains 224 gold pieces. Pretty nice. Once we have the gold, we'll head back the way that we came, and here's 4 man-eater moths. The man-eater moths can poison us, but the most dangerous thing they do is the surround spell. So if everyone gets surrounded, you should probably bail out of the battle. And our hero did get poisoned, but I think we have 3, maybe 4 antidote herbs right now, so it's not that big of a deal. Just make sure you always keep at least a couple antidote herbs on hand. And we're going to head this way. Oh, it's the 5 deadly toadstools again. Are they going to get us with the sleep breath attack this time? I hope not. So first attack is good, second attack is good. Would have been nice to get 3 for 3, but oh, our hero has been put to sleep, but no sleep breath attack. And we did kill a 3rd deadly toadstool, so there's 3 of us and only 2 of them. And now there's only 1 left, but oh, our pilgrim was put to sleep, so that's annoying. But we still have 2 of our characters available, and only 1 of them, so I like our chances. But we did almost lose the pilgrim there. Luckily everyone is awake now, so we have time to heal him. If the screen turns green, that means one of your characters is close to death. If it turns orange, well then it's too late for that guy. We're almost out of this dungeon, but wow, look at all these enemies. Against my best judgment, I think we're gonna fight this battle. So all the enemies are divided up in an interesting way here. If the 2 man-eater moths were grouped together, we wouldn't be able to target them individually, although it would be better if we were using some kind of magic that hit their entire group. So it's probably better for our melee-based party for the moths to be separated, but now that one of them called in reinforcements, they're in a normal 2-moth group, even though it looks like they shouldn't be. Mance attacks and takes out one of the moths, but our hero was just a bit short of killing the other one, and we're going to pay for that. Oh yeah, that moth hit Mance for 19 damage and poisoned him, so if we could have just done 1 more damage it would have died, but instead we had to take a big hit. And let's finish up this battle. 1 more attack should do it. And we gained 111 experience points, and also found a lot of gold. we'll use another antidote herb to cure the fighter. We're starting to run out of those. Hopefully we'll learn the antidote spell soon. And beyond this black wall, we'll enter another room, and there's going to be a treasure chest inside. This one contains 48 gold pieces, so not a super exciting treasure. You can skip this one if you want. And here's another easy battle. We're going to prioritize the moth because we don't want to get surrounded, and it would be bad if he brought in some reinforcements. And we'll grab those 48 gold pieces, and then we're going to head around the corner, and 4 madhounds again. This may be the most common battle that you'll fight here in the cave. So if your party is good against 4 madhounds, you're probably in good shape to be able to take this dungeon on. Head on up here and then go around to the right. There's one more chest here, but there's also the stairway that we were looking for. So we'll pick up the fairy water. Fairy water is a consumable item that you can use to essentially cast the repel spell, which will make lower level enemies not attack you, and we can avoid encounters that way. But we're not going to be able to repel anything in this cave, so it's time to fight the deadly toadstools again. We took out one of them, and oh, here's the sleep breath. We lost 2 of our characters, 3 of our characters to sleep. That is not good. There's still 4 deadly toadstools. It's time to start running. Alright, we were able to escape that time, but you can see how bad those toadstools can possibly be. And here is a much easier battle. So we'll be able to take it a little bit easier with this one. We want to make sure we get rid of the man-eater moth. Couple attacks on it should be good, and oh, we got surrounded by the mirages. That is really obnoxious. Oh, but nobody missed. And we vanquished our foes again. And it seems that our pilgrim is now at level 11. And gained, wow, 4 points of strength. Pretty good for a healer. And also gained a lot of HP, MP, and learned a new spell. The spell that we learned here is a very useful one. It's the antidote spell. We were almost out of antidote herbs, but now we have the antidote spell, so it's not that big of a deal. Go ahead and poison us, stupid moths. We have magic that can cure it now. Although we are getting low on magic points for our healer. Inside this treasure chest is the item we were looking for, the Dream Ruby. And there's also a message from Annie. It seems that she and her boyfriend killed themselves Romeo and Juliet style. That's pretty dark for this game. We don't have the outside spell, so unfortunately we're going to need to walk all the way out of this cave. So just make your way out the same way that you came in. And once you're outside, we're going to head towards that hidden village of the elves. On the way to the hidden village, we encounter 4 Avenger Ravens, and these guys surprised us. Avenger Ravens can attack 2 times each round, which is pretty annoying, and they're going to be able to deal a lot of damage to our party. Luckily, we stopped at the recovery spring before we left that dungeon, so we're doing okay on hit points and magic. These guys don't have a lot of hit points and they don't have a lot of defense, so as soon as we get a chance to attack them, they're going to go down pretty easily. But that first round where they surprised us was pretty bad. We took a lot of damage there. Only 1 raven left, and that raven will quoth nevermore. If there's not going to be any more interruptions, we'll head to the hidden village of the elves. And if you use the Dream Ruby as an item, it will actually make you numb. That sounds like a silly thing, but if you save the Dream Ruby and you don't give it to the queen, you can actually use it to enable a pretty interesting trick that I'll show you later in the guide. So you may want to save your game before you turn over the Dream Ruby, and maybe copy your file to another slot. For now, we're going to give up the Dream Ruby, and when we show it to the queen and we show her Annie's letter, She's extremely sad about how hard she was on the couple. There's no real hard evidence that they actually died in that cave, so there's a part of me that wants to believe that they just faked their death, and that somewhere they're out living their lives happily ever after. Once we return to the town of Noaniels, we can use the wake-up powder, and suddenly all of the villagers awaken. So what do we actually get for waking up this town? Well, we'll be able to get some information by talking to the citizens, and we'll be able to shop at the one store, and we can tell this woman that we didn't hear her snore, or we can tell her that we totally did, and then she'll be embarrassed. Over here, we'll be able to stay at the inn, so if we did want to go to a destination that's near this city, it might be nice to have access to the inn here, and if we go upstairs at the inn, there's a few more people that we can talk to. This guy asks us if we're the son of Ortega, and although we're the daughter of Ortega, I'm going to humor this guy and say yes. If we do, he'll tell us all about how he went to Assaram in search of a key, and if we tell him that we're not Ortega's son, he says, "Oh, I thought you were someone else." When we unlock this door, we see a woman who has just woken up, and she's just been broken the news that Ortega is dead. She is really upset about it. I mean, like, more than I am, and he was my own father. Well, let's see what the other people in town have to say. This guy wonders how many years he's been asleep, and that's a good question. Also, how are you not dead? I suppose it was a magical sleep, but people need food and water, so I'm not sure how they got around that. Up here, we can buy a new piece of armor, the Cloak of Evasion, and the Cloak of Evasion is straight up awesome. Any class can equip it, including the fighter. The Cloak of Evasion doesn't just add 20 to your defense, it also makes 1 out of 5 attacks completely miss your character, and that is pretty frequent. 1 out of 5! It's going to come up for sure. If we head over here, we can go inside this house and speak to this old man, who tells us about the magic key. He also tells us where the city of Assaram is, but we kinda knew that already. Before we go, we can head to the lower left corner of town and check in with the one guy who's been awake the entire time. So we'll head down the stairs and visit him, and he says that he doesn't know how he can ever thank us. Well, I can think of a few ways. Money, maybe a good item, some kind of superpower. But we're not going to get anything from that guy. Just the satisfaction of a job well done. So that's one optional side quest completed, but we still haven't gotten back the golden crown from that Tower of Shanpane, so that's where we're headed to next. The tower is located closest to the village of Kanave, so we'll use our return spell to come to this village, and then we'll stay at the inn to make sure we're in top shape to face the next challenge. I have good news for you. After we gained all of those levels in the previous dungeon, the Tower of Shanpane is going to be quite easy. And oh, I've been waiting for this. I've been wanting a rematch with these army crabs that gave us trouble earlier in the game for quite some time. We're so much more powerful now, we're going to make them pay for what they did earlier. And oh, he attacked, but we were unhurt. That's right, army crab. You're going to wish you didn't. So those guys were a piece of cake, and we're just going to keep making our way to the left from the village of Kanave. And here's a little bit more intimidating set of enemies, but at this point we fought the Mad Hounds, which are a lot more powerful than the Putripups, and we were also fighting the Man-Eater Moths, which are more powerful than the Masked Moths. So we've been fighting much more dangerous versions of these enemies, so these ones should be pretty easy. We'll just keep attacking them. There's only a couple enemies left. And these guys should go down quite quickly. But you can see how much stronger our team is than it was earlier, now that we're all in double-digit levels and we have better equipment. So 36 damage there. We'll do a couple parries, just because we have a long way to go from here, and we want to conserve our health. So these enemies aren't too dangerous. We don't really need to do the parry trick here, but it's better to be safe than sorry. After we cross this bridge, we're going to be in the upper left corner of the map, and we're just going to head down, and you should be able to see the tower right below us. We'll take out a few of these army crabs. They didn't bring any of their friends to the battle. That's too bad. I would have liked to have beaten them too. But now we've made it to the Tower of Shanpane. We've seen these gas cloud enemies when we were making our way to the city of Assaram before, but we never actually fought one. These guys will normally use blaze magic against you. Sometimes the gas cloud will attack, but typically it's going to do the blaze. We're going to split our attacks a little bit so that we should be able to win on this round, or maybe the next round if the army crabs would happen to summon another crab. But that will take care of the gas cloud, and one or two more attacks should finish off the army crab, and that'll do it. So you can kind of get an idea of what the enemies are like in here, and it looks like our fighter has leveled up again, this time to level 11. There are a lot of dead ends in this tower, and there's not that many treasure chests for us to pick up, so pay attention to the map if you want to look for the best way to get through. Here we see another new enemy that we haven't seen before, the Humanabat. The Humanabat is actually a weaker version of the vampire enemies that we were fighting already, and something that a Humanabat does very often is cast Stop Spell. So if your plan revolved around using magic against these enemies, Humanabats are going to shut that down, but whenever they cast Stop Spell, they're also not attacking you, so it's sort of like a wasted turn, especially since our party is mostly melee focused. As you're climbing the tower, you may notice some people standing around. Those guys don't have anything good for you, so I would mostly avoid them and just focus on picking up the treasure and making your way to the top. The best thing about this tower is whenever we defeat the boss, we're going to get a lot of experience points, so we'll probably gain at least a couple levels. Inside that treasure chest is a Wing of the Wyvern, which is not very important anymore now that we have the return magic, but it's not bad to keep one of those around as a backup. And if you really need to know what this guy has to say, all he says is, "This is the notorious Tower of Shanpane." Yeah, thanks guy. That was totally worth walking up there for. As we get higher up the tower, you'll notice that this floor does not have walls around the edges, so don't fall off the edge. You'll have to start all over again from the beginning. However, if one of your characters were to die in battle and you wanted to get out of here quickly, jumping off the side is one of the easiest ways to do it. There's a chest that contains a decent amount of gold over here in the upper right corner of the third floor, so grab that if you want it. And the way that we need to go to get out of here is in the upper left corner. And these two poison silkworms are not a big deal anymore, especially now that we have the antidote magic, which we can use if we get poisoned. So just attack, 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 and those guys should go down pretty quickly. And we're going to make our way around the bottom. If you go into this first room here, there's a person that you can talk to, but this is essentially a dead end. So if you want to say hi to this guy, we can see what he has to say. Apparently, there are thieves in this tower. No way. See, I told you that talking to those people was a waste of time. A Humanabat and a gas cloud should be a very easy battle to win. We should be able to do this in one round if we split up our attacks, and there's a good chance that that Humanabat might just cast Stop Spell anyways, if he had a chance to. So we're just going to make our way around this floor, over towards Stairway C, which is in the upper left corner. So just keep fighting any enemies that get in your way. The enemies should be pretty easy here for you. And then just enter this room where the stairway is, and that's going to take us up to the 4th floor. Now technically this is where we're going to fight the boss, but he won't appear here until we climb to the top of the tower. 4 Humanabats should be a piece of cake. I'm not sure if we've seen one of these guys actually get to take their turn yet, but since there's 4 of them on the screen, we're going to finally see that here. So we had 2 attacks from the Humanabats, which is pretty surprising. Usually they just do Stop Spell, but attack is a possibility. And that's all they're going to do, so they managed to chip away a few hit points from us, but that's it. And we'll use our thief key here to open this door. Inside, we're going to surprise some of Kandar's henchmen, but before that, here's another new enemy type that we haven't seen before, the Demon Toadstool. Once again, the Demon Toadstool is a downgraded version from the toadstools that we were fighting before. These Demon Toadstools still have the Sleep Breath attack that makes their brethren so dangerous, but they don't also have the attack that damages you and puts you to sleep, so they're not quite as bad. 2 Poison Silkworms is by far the most common battle you'll fight here in the tower, and we got double poisoned that time, so that's kind of annoying, but we definitely have a good healer that can take care of it. And we have a lot of magic points now, so it's really not that big of a problem. Up here we're going to see some of Kandar's henchmen, and I definitely take offense to being referred to as weirdos, so even if those guys hadn't stolen the Golden Crown, they would still have to pay. Up here we come face to face with Kandar, but it's a trap. And whenever we fall down, all we need to do is jump off the side, and we'll land down here. And at this point, we need to make sure that we're ready for a boss fight, because as soon as we talk to this guy, it's on. Kandar comes with 3 Kandar henchmen, and it's the henchmen that really make him dangerous. Most of the bosses in this game regenerate hit points, but Kandar does not. In the first round, you want to have 3 of your party members attack the henchmen, but have your pilgrim cast speed up so that most of our characters will get to take their actions first. If you're able to eliminate at least 1 henchman, you're doing well, and we want to try to take out the next 2 in this round. If we can get Kandar alone, he's really going to be pretty easy to fight. Kandar is vulnerable to sleep, sap, and surround magic, but until the henchmen have been removed, you probably want to have your pilgrim focus on fighting them. Now that we should be able to finish off the last henchman in a single hit, we can try the spell of sleep on Kandar. If the sleep spell connects, and there's a 70% chance of that, Kandar will lose at least 1 turn. And that's what happened here. He woke up immediately, but he did miss his attack. Kandar may look intimidating with that big axe, but he's actually very one-dimensional. Once he's by himself, he only has 150 hit points, so he's not going to be able to survive very many rounds of an all-out attack from our party. So that's what we're going to do, and that's it. We've done it. We've defeated the game's first boss. He's worth 2,200 experience points on his own, so yeah, several of our characters might level up, including our hero, who's now at level 11. Pretty awesome. Intelligence goes up, HP goes up 12 points, and our pilgrim leveled up too? It would be nice if we were able to fight this boss multiple times, and you can do that with some of the other bosses in the game, but as far as I know, there's no way to fight this Kandar again. You can tell him that you won't forgive him, but until you say yes, he won't leave you alone. But for our trouble, we'll find a treasure chest containing the golden crown. Make sure that you've healed up after the battle, because we want to jump off the side of the tower, but you could get attacked by monsters, just as we did here, and wow, this is one of the more dangerous monster encounters that this place has in it. 3 gas clouds and 2 poison silkworms. The obvious targets here are going to be the gas clouds, but the silkworms are so easy to kill that we can finish them off quickly in the first round, and then we won't have to worry about being poisoned. So that's why I attacked them first. Now we can just finish up the gas clouds, and hopefully we'll be able to get off the side of the tower this time. As soon as we can jump off the edge, we'll be able to return to town. And here's some demon toadstools. We know that they're not going to be a big problem because we fought the deadly variety so many times. And this time we made it to the edge. Now that we have that golden crown in our possession, let's take it back to its rightful owner, the King of Romaly. So what is our reward for bringing back this crown? A big pile of money? A bunch of experience points? Maybe a new item? No? What we get is technically more valuable than that, but certainly not as useful for our quest. The king gives us his kingdom. He asks if we will take it, and you can say no, but eventually you'll have to say yes. And so Ray becomes king. Now, I wanted to be a queen, but that wasn't an option apparently. So I did my best to grow a kingly mustache, and I think it actually went pretty well. Over here, the princess says something very strange. She says, "Won't you come and live with your princess forever?" Well, I mean, you're not my princess. Just because I took over the kingdom doesn't make you my child. That is very strange, princess. Very strange. If we head over here to the left, this guy is so excited to tell us what he knows about the Wizard's Wand. The Wizard's Wand is an item that you can use from the item menu during battle, and you'll be able to cast the Blaze spell for free, but it's just the Blaze spell, and that's probably going to be a lot worse than just attacking. This woman asks us to rescue the village of Noaniels, and we have to inform her that we did that already. And if we head up here, we can visit our prisoner in the jail. So we'll see what's going on with him. And he's going to tell us that we were maybe a little bit too soft on that Kandar guy, but we'll see how that whole thing turns out soon. And as we head down the stairs, we can go over to the tower on the right side, where we can talk to the former king's father. We can also bump into this guy. Oh, it's you, Ray. Come up in the world, I see. Yeah, we did, didn't we? And we're going to head up to the top of this tower and talk to good old Grandpa. Let's see what he has to say. Huh. So it seems that the king is still up to his old tricks. Has he done this before? Are we not the first person he's given the kingdom away to? Huh. Now I feel less special. After that disappointment, we're going to make our way down into the streets of town, where we'll run into a kid that is very excited to see the new king. Huh, that feels a little bit better. And if we talk to the innkeeper, he asks if we're out for a walk. Why yes, innkeeper, we are. This woman is so excited to see the new king that she forgets that we're a woman, but it's probably the mustache that threw her off. In fact, the mustache is so good that this guy seems to think we were the old king. Yeah, I guess we do look a lot like him. Over here we can talk to this soldier, and he tells us about the Cloak of Evasion. That is something that we already owned, but thanks for the tip. And if we head down this way, you'll see there's a big downside to being the king. we can't leave the city. Well, we're going to have to give up this kingdom so that we can get back onto our quest. We can visit a few of these stores first, but once you're done being the king, the way to get out of it is down in the monster arena. So that's where we're going to head next. Down here in the stairway, we're looking for a character that looks like the king's advisor, so it's that guy over there on the left. It's definitely not this guy, and if we talk to some of these people, they're excited to see the new king, but some of them are certainly involved in some sketchy business, like this guy, who says he's not gambling at all. Well, I didn't know it was illegal, but now that I'm king, maybe I should shut down this whole monster fighting thing. Well, I don't know exactly how we would do that, but when you're done, you can talk to the former king, and he will ask if you want to continue ruling the land. Tell him no, and then say yes that you tire of being king, and you can go back to being good old Ray, the hero of Aliahan. We do have to give the kingdom back, which is unfortunate. You kinda wonder if there was some way that we could have used our kingly resources to aid our quest, but I guess there's no time for that now. We have to be on our way, and the next thing that we need to do is go to the pyramid where we can get the magic key. Before we go there, now's a good time to use any strength seeds or acorns of life that you have, and as long as we get a decent result, we won't reset the game, and plus 5 hit points, that's a very good result. We certainly won't be resetting after that. Before we leave the city, we'll stay at the inn, and now that we're ready to go, we can cast our return spell, and this time we're going to head back to the village of Assaram. You may remember from before that if you head to the west from Assaram, you'll run into the desert, and that, unsurprisingly, is where the pyramid is. You may recall from previous visits to this city that there's a barter shop here that sells one of the best pieces of armor in the game, the Iron Helmet, and it costs 2,000 gold, assuming that you know how to negotiate. So we're going to sell off some superfluous items here at the item shop, and then we're going to head to the barter shop in the upper left corner to pick up one of those helmets. We're going to want at least 2 of those iron helmets before the end of the game, so if you have the money to pick up 2 of them now, you might as well do it. And here's the guy. Let's see what we want to buy. The iron helmet, well, 16,000 gold, that's too much, my friend. No, no, no. 8,000, I don't think so. 4,000, I think you can do better. 2,000, now you're talking. You got yourself a deal. It's a little bit annoying that you have to go through that every time you want to buy one of these, but this is one of the best helmets in the entire game, so we'll make an exception. Once you've purchased all of the items that you need, we're going to go down to the inn and stay the night. Previously, when we visited this area, we ran away from all of the enemies we encountered, but now we should be powerful enough to handle them, but that doesn't mean we should try to go into battle without full hit points and full magic. So we'll stay at the inn before we go, and then we'll head out into the field. From here, we're looking for a desert oasis. That will be the city of Isis, and to get there, we just want to follow the grass path, and here are a couple of enemies that we haven't actually fought yet, 2 wild apes. The wild apes can call for help, and they also frequently do critical hits, but there's only 2 of them, and with our advanced equipment and levels, they should be easily defeated, assuming they don't call a lot of additional apes. So from here we're going to follow the grass, but eventually it will give way to sand, and now it's time to cross the desert. This part is totally optional, but if you head south here in the desert, you can find a shrine that's completely surrounded by swamp. We just got attacked by 4 man-eater moths, and we haven't seen these guys since we were in that cave near Noaniels. but they're going to be a lot easier now since we've leveled up a number of times since then. They still can potentially do the surround spell on you, and they can also poison you. So as long as most of your characters aren't afflicted with the surround spell, you should be okay. But even if you are, you can try to use magic attacks, and you don't have to worry about those missing in the same way that you would if you've been surrounded. Another moth has arrived? We should consider bailing out of this one, but we're in pretty deep now, so let's use the fireball magic and hopefully that'll finish these guys off, or at least soften them up so that we can defeat them in another round. But we did gain 92 experience points for that, so that isn't bad at all. And don't forget, you will take damage from walking in the swamp. This guy wants to know if we're in search of the magic key. No. Alright, we are definitely searching for the magic key, and he wants us to know that it's in the pyramid, but he thinks we should visit the castle of Isis first. I totally agree, old man. You don't have to go to the castle of Isis first, but it is a good idea. We're going to find a very good item there, the meteorite armband. Now this is a more interesting battle. 3 new enemy types that we haven't seen before, and our good friend the man-eater moth. We're going to focus most of our attacks on the man-eater moth and the flammipede. The flammipede can do a breath attack that hits every member of our party, so that's pretty annoying. So we'll prioritize those 2 enemies, which we should be able to finish off quickly. The vampire cat constantly is casting stop spell, so you may want to consider not using magic during this battle, and just focus on your melee attacks. You would hate to have the vampire cat cast stop spell before your spell resolved, and then it would get blocked. The Infernus crab has a lot of defense, 110 to be exact. If you are fighting against a lot of Infernus crabs, you may want to use your sap spell, but in this combination we don't really need to do it. And we're going to continue over here to the left, and that is the oasis we were looking for, but if you enter it on the wrong side, you won't be able to get into the town. You have to go in over here in the lower left corner. This city is very large, and there's both a town and a castle portion of it. If we talk to some of the people, we'll find out that it's ruled by a beautiful queen, and the most important thing to them is water. I mean, I guess that makes a lot of sense out here in the desert. The other thing that we'll hear a bit about is a thing called the meteorite armband, which is a treasure that we're trying to find here. There's a pretty average item shop, but if you need to sell some things, that's where you would do it at. And if we head up the stairs here, we can visit with this woman, and she wants us to know that her husband runs a weapon shop. Thanks, that's great. If we follow this path, we'll come to a stairway, and when we head down it, we'll be in the same monster arena that we saw back in the town of Romaly. The exact same one. So it just makes you wonder, is that staircase some kind of portal that takes you to a centralized location? Or are there 2 different monster fighting arenas completely populated by clones? Either way, it's pretty strange. We want to get to the castle, and you can see it's in the middle of town here, but to get to it we need to go across the bottom, and before we head up into there, we'll stay at the inn. We did fight some battles on our way over to the city, so for our 40 gold pieces, it'll be nice to have refilled health and magic. Yes, we know this country is ruled by a beautiful queen, we've heard that before, and this guy says that no one may laugh at Socris. And Socris is this guy. He just sits here and waits for night to fall. And now that I'm looking at him, yeah, I can't help but want to laugh at that guy. Sorry guy that says we can't laugh at Socris, we totally can. If we head over here, we'll find the weapon shop, and there's some good stuff here. You can buy a battle axe in this town without it being nighttime, and they also sell the Cloak of Evasion and full plate armor. So if you have the money, you may want to upgrade to full plate armor, but we don't necessarily need it right now. This guy is running an exact copy of the item shop across the way. Up here is the House of Healing, and when we cross over this bridge, we can make our way into the castle. These guys both say the same thing: welcome to the Castle of Isis. There's a big sandy field in front of the castle, and if we cut over here to the left, we'll find a hidden path, and this is going to lead us to the meteorite armband that we've been looking for. So just follow the path along, and eventually you'll come to a stairway. So we're going to go down inside that. That is stairway B. If you go over to the other corner, you'll find stairway C, which will bring you to the other side of this room. But we want to head up in the center here and go down this stairway. Inside is a single treasure chest, and this contains the meteorite armband. The meteorite armband is a special type of item. This is an accessory, and we haven't gotten any accessories yet. You don't equip them in the normal way. To equip the meteorite armband, you're going to use it as an item. So you can see Ray right now had 25 agility, but whenever she uses the meteorite armband, now she has 50 agility. So be aware that whoever you give the meteorite armband to, they are probably going to act first in battle. We're not going to find a lot of these accessories in the game, and this is one of the better ones. We'll still be using the meteorite armband at the very end of the game. Once you have it, we're going to head back down the secret pathway, and we'll make our way into the castle proper. There are a lot more treasures in this castle, but we'll need the magic key to get them, and we'll need to come back here at night. So we'll head up into the main part of the castle, and we'll talk to some of the people that we can talk to without having a key. You can talk to these cats, but they just say meow. And this one says meow as well. So you don't have to talk to all the cats, they say the same things. Up here we can talk to this woman who tells us that the skin on our nose is peeling. Yeah, I bet it is. We were in the desert for quite some time. This guy tells us that the pyramid has already been pillaged by many thieves, and I'd love to know what was in there before, because whenever we get to the pyramid, there's going to be more than a dozen treasures for us to find. In here, this guy tells us that the pyramid is full of traps, and another woman tells us that there's a place in the pyramid where you're not able to use magic, but we're not going to be going to that part of the pyramid just yet. We may be a melee-focused party, but not being able to cast healing magic spells is a major problem, so those floors that restrict magic can be quite difficult. This path leads to the throne room, and of course these soldiers are here to guard the queen. This guy says he would give his life for the queen, and I hope it won't come to that. Over here we can talk to this woman who tells us that the secret to the pyramid is in the children's song. And well, here's some children over here, and I wouldn't exactly call this a song, but I guess that's what we're calling it. Which to try, which to test. First to the east, then to the west. Let's all sing it together. That's going to be a helpful clue that we'll want to remember for later. The queen has 2 ladies in waiting, and this woman says that nothing can frighten the queen. The archfiend himself kneels before the queen's beauty. The queen herself is a little bit more humble, which is kind of surprising. She'll do her queenly duties and tell us how many more experience points we need to get to the next level, and then she can save our game. From here, we're going to head back out of Castle Isis. So for now, we'll wave goodbye to the beautiful queen and the castle in the sand as we walk out of town, and the next thing we need to do is make our way to the pyramid. To get to the pyramid from here, all we need to do is head north whenever we get out of town. So that's pretty easy. We might get attacked by enemies along the way, and once we get inside, there's going to be even more battles that we'll have to face, especially if we want to get all the treasure. So from here, we're just going to head down to get outside, and we're just going to start walking upwards. When we're near town, that's Monster Zone E, and near the pyramid is Monster Zone D, but none of that actually matters if you don't get attacked. Here we encountered 3 mummy men, and this is one of the more common encounters that we'll face here inside the pyramid. The mummy men are not as powerful as the bluish mummies of ambiguous gender, but you won't find them on this floor. You'll only find those mummies in the basement areas and in the upper floors of the pyramid. So we're just going to make sure to parry, and then we're going to attack, and we should be able to finish off these mummy man enemies pretty easily. If you're struggling with the mummy men, you are in trouble. There's a pit in the middle of the floor here, so you want to walk around it, and at the second intersection we're going to head to the right. If you fall down into the pit, you'll find an exit in the lower left corner, but that is a very dangerous area, so you should try to avoid that pit for now. We'll come back to it later. Here's another new enemy type. The Trick Bag can cast all kinds of annoying magic. It can cast Surround, Increase, Healing magic, but it doesn't do a lot of attacking, so by itself, a Trick Bag is not that dangerous. Once you get up here, we're going to head down to the bottom, and this time we encountered 3 King Frogors and a Flammipede. Now you've seen the Flammipede before, but the King Frogors are new. The King Frogors don't seem too bad until they put one of your party members to sleep, so you do need to take them seriously. You probably have to prioritize them over the Flammipede. Even though the Flammipede can attack our entire party, we'd rather get rid of the King Frogors first. So prioritize the Frogor, but we should be able to finish this battle on this round. 2 attacks on the Flammipede and 2 attacks on the Frogor should do it. And we gain 94 experience points for that one. Not bad. We're going to keep heading down to the bottom, and when we get to the bottom, we're going to go to the left, and we'll take the first stairway that we see. Until you get to this floor, you don't want to open any treasure chests that you find. They're all traps. Once you get here, you want to push the button on the far right side, and then you need to push the button on the far left side. So remember, first the east, then the west. Do not push either of the 2 buttons on the inside. Now these are the more dangerous mummies, and there's 3 of them, so this is a pretty serious battle. We still would ideally like to get rid of that King Frogor so that he can't put us to sleep, but we can't ignore the mummies. Those guys have 55 health and 60 attack, so they can deal significant damage, and they're not going to be that easy to clear. We got rid of the Frogor, so that problem is out of the way. And now we're just going to attack on the mummies, and we should hopefully get rid of 2 of them this round, and then there will only be 1 left. It looks like we were only successful in killing 1. No, we got the 2. And with only 1 mummy remaining, we should be in good shape to win this fight. And that's it. We defeated the mummies and we got 106 experience points for that. That's a pretty good one. And now the gate in the center of the room should be open because we pushed both of those buttons. Oof, 4 King Frogors block our way. Remember, these guys can make us fall asleep, so we need to be careful around them. We're not going to change our plans, we're just going to be attacking, but if several members of your party fall asleep, you may want to bail out of the battle and run away. So we'll parry and then attack. There's only 2 of them left now, so we're in good shape. 12 damage to Mance, that's pretty annoying. And here is the sleep spell. We only lost 1 of our characters to it, So that's not too bad. We should be able to defeat one Frogor with 3 characters. And that's no problem. Later on in the game, most of the enemies won't do sleep attacks anymore, but here in the early part, there is a lot of sleep action going on, and it's very annoying. The chest on the left side here is a vitality seed, but the one on the right is the chest we were looking for. This is the magic key. The magic key is the only thing that we had to get here in the pyramid, but there's a lot more treasure in this place if you want to press on, so that's what we're going to do. We've seen this combination of enemies before, so remember you want to prioritize the King Frogors because they can put you to sleep. And our fighter has gone up to the next level, gaining 5 points of strength. Wow, and 5 points of luck too. We're definitely going to need to heal our hero, so we'll do that real quick. And let's take a look at the stats on our fighter that just leveled up. 79 attack power. He is quickly becoming the most dangerous member of our team. The fighter also gets a little bit more likely to make critical hits with every level up, so we're going to start noticing that after a while as well. Up here we can fight a mummy man, a mummy, and a King Frogor, and you won't be surprised to find out that the King Frogor is going to be our priority target, but we should also be able to take out the mummy man in the first round, and if we can take out both of those enemies in the first round of combat, the only enemy left would be the regular mummy. However, they summoned a Hork. Yeah, a Hork, like from Dragon Warrior 2. Now, the Horks are not that dangerous, and sometimes they don't do anything, they just kinda sit around assessing the situation. So once you get rid of the mummy, the 2 Horks shouldn't be a big deal, but our fighter is almost dead, so it's probably worth trying to heal him here. With the meteorite armband, we can be pretty confident that Ray will be the first one to act during combat, so her heal spell will definitely fix up Mance before the enemies can try to attack him. Most of the time we're going to be healing our party using the Pilgrim, but whenever we need to heal during battle, it could be a good idea to use a faster character. For a battle that looked pretty straightforward at first, that one ended up being fairly complex. Make sure to heal up your team, and here is the first place that we're going to use our magic key. It's going to open up the treasure room of the pyramid, and there's 12 chests here. This first chest is one of the best ones. It contains a strength seed, and whenever you open each of the chests here, they are guarded by 4 Mummy Man enemies. So for every single chest that you open in this area, you will have to fight these same 4 Mummy Men, so get ready for that if you want to open them all. These guys are not that difficult to fight, and this is really good for leveling up. The only thing about it is, after a while it gets kind of boring just fighting the same battle over and over and over again, and most of the treasure chests here are just not that exciting. Most of them are just money. Number 1 and number 3 contain seeds, so if you want to grab those, I recommend it. Otherwise, I'd only keep opening these treasure chests if you're not bored of fighting the Mummy Man enemies and you're interested in gaining some experience points. So that one has 80 gold pieces in it, and you get the same message each time: who dares to raid the king's treasure? And whenever we finished off the Mummy Man enemies this time, our merchant leveled up to level 14. So as I said, this is very good for leveling up. There's a lot of predictable battles here. And we got the agility seed that time, so that one's probably worth it. But if you're not too worried about trying to level up, or you've just had enough of this, you can move to the stairway at the bottom of the room. But we're going to open all of these and see what's inside each one. So this time, after we cleared the enemies, we were able to level up again. This time, it was our pilgrim. So now Kylo is on level 13, getting very, very powerful, gaining a bunch of HP, and learning a new spell. We also got 112 pieces of gold out of that chest. Let's take a look at what spell we learned. This time Kylo learned Infernos, which seems like it should be a wizard spell. It costs 4 magic points and it targets an entire group of enemies, and it'll hit those enemies for about 15 damage each. Sometimes it'll hit a single enemy for a lot more. But you'll notice that enemies have a separate resistance to Infernos, and most enemies don't have much resistance to it at all. As we continue around the circle, opening the treasure chests and fighting the mummy men, this time it's our hero that is leveled up, and she's reached level 12. She'll get a bunch of good stats at this level, but she won't learn any new spells. She did gain an additional 11 hit points though, so let's take a look at Ray's status. 76 attack power is pretty good, and 97 HP is great. It would be nice if she had some more magic points though, but we won't get those for at least a few more levels. Inside of this treasure chest, in addition to the usual mummy men, is a Wing of the Wyvern. Because we only have one character that can cast Return, it is a good idea to keep at least one Wing of the Wyvern around, just in case Ray were to die or run out of magic points. We're starting to run out of item space, so we can use some of the medical herbs that we have lying around. We're not going to be needing those very much, and there's only one more actual item in this set of chests, and it's in this treasure box right here. It's going to be another medical herb, so it's nothing very exciting, but the remaining chests are just gold pieces. So if you don't need money and you don't care about the experience, you can move on here, but we are going to open those last 3 boxes. The one in the middle of these 3 has the most money, and this one doesn't have very much money at all. It only has 24 gold pieces, but this one should have 176, so we are kind of interested in it. Money's not that big of a problem. If we really wanted to get more money, we can just make a bunch of soldiers back at the first town, but we'll take it. And there's only one more chest to open, so let's finish the circle and open the 12th and final treasure chest in this set, and that one contains 40 pieces of gold. Whenever you're satisfied with this floor, take the stairs at the bottom, so you're going to head down here and continue on your way up. There's one more treasure chest to find here. It contains a set of flashy clothes, which is a decent armor for a goof-off, but we don't have a goof-off, so we will be selling those flashy clothes. They're worth a good bit of money though, so they are worth picking up, and this is going to lead us to the easiest way to exit the pyramid. We're just going to jump off the top. So we'll use our magic key here, we'll open up this chest and get those flashy clothes, and then we'll take this stairway over on the right side that will lead us to the top of the pyramid, and we'll just jump off. Now I am aware that the pyramid has a secret basement area, but that is a very dangerous place, so we're going to come back to the pyramid later and get the golden claw. For now, we're going to head back to Aliahan, we're going to stay with our mom, and there's a few doors in the castle here that we needed the magic key to open. So we're going to start here. There's a lot of locations that we want to go back to now that we have the magic key, but we might as well start at the beginning. Before we start opening up any more treasures, we better go over to the item shop and sell off some stuff that we don't need, including those flashy clothes that we picked up, and probably all of our antidote herbs. We have the antidote magic now, so we can't really afford to be carrying around a bunch of these extra items. The flashy clothes are worth 975 gold, so that was a good pickup. The treasure room in the castle is in the upper left corner, so we'll save the game first, then we can use some of our strength seeds. I think we might have a vitality seed. We can do all that after we've saved the game in case we get a poor result. So we don't want to get any ones. And we will use this vitality seed and see how that turns out. And well, there's the one, so we'll reset and we'll do it again. And this time we got 2. Okay, that's better. And let's use a strength seed, 2 points. Alright, that's fine. And an agility seed. Okay, 2 more points. So pretty good set of seeds there. Feel free to give strength or agility seeds to your fighter instead of your hero. We are going to be converting the merchant to another class at some point, so she's going to lose half of her stats, so I probably wouldn't give any seeds to her. But beyond that, feel free to give the seeds to anyone that you think is appropriate. In here, we're going to find another strength seed and another agility seed, but the most important item that we're going to find is the fighting suit, the highest defense armor that our fighter can wear. And we can get it here for free. So that's why we haven't purchased it yet. It costs about 800 gold to buy it at the store, but if you just wait until you get the magic key, you'll be able to get one right here in the castle. Alright, let's go save the game again and then use the seeds that we just found. So here's a strength seed for Ray, plus 2 points, very good. And an agility seed, another 2 points. So we're doing quite well on our seeds. Eventually, as we level up, your stats will try to get closer to the baseline stats, so the seeds aren't super important. But we're still in the early game now when those stats really are useful. Now that we got that fighting suit, we're going to make sure that Mance has equipped it, and we're going to move the Cloak of Evasion to our Pilgrim. Do not get rid of the Cloak of Evasion. The Cloak of Evasion is probably better than the fighting suit overall, but right now it's a good upgrade for our Pilgrim. So whenever the Pilgrim gets better armor later in the game, we're going to move it back to the fighter. We have even more junk to sell off, so we'll get rid of some of the things that we just found that we don't need. And we're also not going to need the armor that our Pilgrim was wearing before. And once we're done, we're going to leave town, and the next place that we want to go to is Isis. Remember though, that to get the things that we want in the city of Isis using the magic key, we need to do it at night. Before we start walking around the desert waiting for the sun to set, we have a big pile of money right now, so we can afford the full plate armor. Unfortunately, only our hero can equip full plate armor, so we'll buy that and upgrade her armor, but our merchant and our pilgrim, they are unable to equip it. So make sure that Ray has a full plate if you can afford it. And you can see now she has a defense power of 77. Pretty good. Once you have all the equipment you need, make your way outside, and we're just going to keep walking in a circle around this oasis. We'll have to fight some battles here and there. That'll be good to gain some experience points. But we're just waiting for it to turn to night. If you just stand still, the time will not progress, so you do have to keep walking around. After all the levels that we gained in the pyramid, 2 Flammapedes should be no sweat. They are probably going to use the breath weapon that will hit our entire team, which is kind of annoying, but we were able to take one of them out before it was able to attack at all. And you can really see how the parry trick works when the enemies do something that damages your entire team. Most of our party members took 4 or 3 damage, but Mance took 9 because he's at the end of the party. So although you don't get attacked as much when you're in the last slot of the formation, sometimes it is bad when enemies use breath weapons or magic spells that hit everyone. Here's another battle that should be pretty easy. Remember that vampire cats like to cast Stop Spell, so you probably don't want to use any magic against this team. But we're just going to take out the Flammipede and the man-eating moth, and then the vampire cat will go down very quickly. And we're just going to keep this up, just keep walking around, and eventually day will turn to night, and we can enter the city after dark. Before we raid the treasure rooms in the castle, we can meet some interesting characters in town. This guy's asleep, but you may remember over here there was a guy named Socris that was blocking this stairway. And if we head inside and open up this door, we can talk to Socris and see what he does at night. And yeah, he just stands here during the night. Alright, I'm definitely laughing at this guy now. If we head down and around and make our way to the upper left corner, there's a couple people over there that we may want to chat with. You may recall earlier there was a woman that said her husband owns a weapon shop that lives in that house on the left. And this guy was up during the day telling us about the meteorite armband, and, well, he's still awake at night. That guy might be on something. If we head up these stairs, this woman still tells us that her husband owns a weapon shop. That's great. And if we talk to this guy, he asks if we want some weapons, and if you say yes, he says come back during the day. Well, if you say no and you don't want armor either, then he gives you a clue. He tells you that the meteorite armband is hidden in the castle. And we have it already, but it is a good thing to know. Well, that's really all for the town. Let's make our way to the castle. In some other cities, when you go to the castle at night, there's guards blocking the entrance, but not here. The guards just let you in. If you come into the castle during the day and you try to open these doors with a magic key, there's a guard that will be blocking your way to the treasure, but at night there's nobody blocking your way, so yeah, the security here is not very good. There are definitely more treasure chests here in Isis, but there's no fighting suit this time, so they may be of better quality in the other castle. There is one very good treasure that we'll be able to get here at night, but it's not contained in a chest. First, we're going to make our way over to the right side. We'll go around the cat, meow. And we'll open up this door where we can head in to get some more treasures. Over here on this side, we're going to find the Wayfarer's Clothes, we'll find the Acorns of Life, we'll find some gold, and we'll also find the Poison Moth Powder. The Poison Moth Powder is a single-use item, but it can make enemies confused, and confused enemies will attack their own allies. So that is a very powerful item. Up here in the throne room, those two kids that sang us the song about the pyramid are sleeping in that same room. Weird. Well, at least one of them is sleeping. The other one has insomnia. If we head over to the left side, we'll find another door that we can open up with our magic key, and this will take us to the Queen's quarters. This is another spot that you won't be able to get into during the day, so make sure to come here at night. And you can see that some of the Queen's ladies-in-waiting are sleeping. Wowie zowie, it's a man. Well, only 2 of us are men. The other 2 are women. Strangely, when we talk to the Queen, she says that she is most happy that we came to meet her in hiding, and she wants to give us a gift. To find the gift, we need to look all around her, and if you search right here in front of the Queen, you'll find a free wizard's ring. Now that is a good gift. The wizard ring can restore some of your magic points if you use it as an item. It does have a chance to break after you use it, but if you only use it when you really need magic points, it'll be okay if it breaks. There will be more opportunities to find other wizard rings, and later on in the game, we'll even have a chance to buy them. Our hero is down to 1 magic point, so we'll need to use the inn before we can cast the return spell again. That'll make it daytime again, and before we leave this city, there is one more magic key door that we haven't opened up yet, and it's one that we need to do during the day. It's between those two treasure rooms, and there's a guy that's hanging out in that area. He's behind a magic key door, so he must have some kind of good clue. Let's go up there and see what he has to say. So we'll head around here to the left. You can see now that there are guards that are watching over some empty treasure chests, so those guys can probably be reassigned. There's nothing in those chests anymore. And we're just going to come up here and talk to this guy. He says that his brother also liked gazing at the water, and it turns out this guy was locked behind a door because he's a weirdo. Before we leave, we can save the game one more time, and then we can use some of those seeds. If we get good results, we can just continue on, and if we get poor results from our seeds, we can reset the game. So let's try this Acorns of Life, and we got 3 points of HP from that, so that's decent. And then we'll use the Intelligence Seed, and we got the full 3 points this time, so we're definitely not going to reset after those results. We can also sell some items that we don't need that we found in those treasure rooms. And once we're done here, the next place that we want to go is the Castle of Romaly. Yes, there is a magic key door there for us to open, but that's not the real reason why we're going there. It's just the closest place to our next destination. So we'll cast our return spell, and this time we're going to head into the castle, and the magic key door that we're looking for in here is all the way at the top. So we'll do that first, and then we can stay at the inn, and we'll make our way to the next city. That city is called Portoga. So we're just going to come up here. You remember where this door is, right there in the middle. It's not going to be a treasure room this time. There's just one guy behind this door, but he has a pretty interesting clue for us. He tells us that we can get a ship in Portoga. Well, that's great because we were just headed that way, and we would love to have a ship. Before we leave, we can use the inn. And you may remember the way to Portoga from earlier. There's a shrine slightly northeast of here, and whenever we go inside there, there's a door that we were unable to open before because we didn't have the magic key. So there's the shrine right over there, and of course these enemies are going to be super easy this time, so this will be a big demonstration of how much stronger we are. Every enemy that we hit goes down in a single shot. We're not going to get very many experience points for those guys, so just make your way to the shrine. And this time we're going to be able to open the door and go down the stairs. This shrine actually connects multiple locations, and later on in the game when we get the final key, we'll open up that prison door to go somewhere else. But for now, we're just going to open the magic key doors and make our way to the west. The enemies on the way to Portoga are from Monster Set F, and that's a monster set that we haven't been in before, but it has a lot of familiar faces, like these deadly toadstools. The only monster that's new in this set is the Lumpus, so unless you encounter one of those, you should know what to do. These guys should be pretty easy, and oh, 3 of our characters fell asleep? Well, that's obnoxious. Still, we should still be able to pick off these enemies one by one, as long as everyone doesn't fall asleep. And that wasn't too bad. We got some experience points, and we're just going to continue to head south, try to stay out of the mountains, and here is a rogue knight paired with some Avenger Ravens. So those are 2 familiar enemies, but a new combination. The Avenger Ravens are easy to kill, but they get 2 attacks per round, so they're kind of annoying. I would consider those the higher priority target here. try to get rid of all of them, and then we should easily be able to finish off this rogue knight. Rogue knights used to be pretty dangerous in the early game, but now they're nothing. And we're just going to keep heading south, go around the mountains, and there's the town we were looking for, Portoga. Portoga is where adventurers go when they need a ship. It doesn't seem like any other country in this entire game has figured out how to build them. So yeah, we're going to need to get a ship from the King of Portoga, and it's not going to be as simple as just giving him some amount of money. No. The king likes black pepper, but you can't get black pepper anywhere around here. You need to get it in the Far East. This shop owner says a grain of pepper is worth its weight in gold, and grains of pepper don't weigh very much, and we happen to have a good number of gold pieces, so if it's just gold that we need to get the pepper, we're in good shape. This horse doesn't have any black pepper, so we're going to make our way outside of the building, and we'll talk to this guy down here who says, yep, the king loves black pepper. Have we heard that anywhere else? This old man says that if we need a ship, we need to talk to the king. Well, yeah, we came here for a ship, and if we sneak around the outside, we'll be able to talk to this guy that's hanging out way down in the corner of town. This guy actually has a clue that's going to be more useful later in the game, and I think you're supposed to find this stairway after you get the ship, but we can totally talk to this guy now. He tells us that Baramos put a curse on 2 young lovers. Yep, not very important right now, but it certainly will come up later. We only exited town because that's a quick way to get back to the front gate, and now that we've talked to most of the people, we're going to make our way into the actual castle and try to talk to the king. So we'll cross over the bridge, and once we get inside here, you're going to notice right away that this castle also has a treasure room, and you don't even need the magic key to get in there, you just need the thief's key. This guy tells us that there's a shrine to the east where you can change your profession, and you may have been wondering where that is, so we are going to be heading that way soon, and if we unlock this door, we can talk to this woman who says, "In the east, aren't there only barbarians?" That might be a little bit racist. It's no wonder they kept her locked up. As you head down here into the treasure room, be careful as you cross the barriers. Each time you step on a barrier, you'll take 15 points of damage, and this game is not shy about killing you, so if someone gets low on health, make sure to heal them before you walk on another barrier space. In here you'll find a strange consumable item, the spider's web. If you use it in battle, it'll cast the slow spell against the enemies, and if you're wondering how to figure out the enemy's resistance to slow, it's exactly the same as their resistance to the limbo spell. I'm not sure why it works that way, but it does. This guy asks if you want to hear the truth. If you tell him no, he doesn't say much, but if you say yes, he says, "Haste makes waste." Yeah, I think he just wanted to laugh at us. And up here we can finally talk to the king. He tells us that in the Far East we can get the black pepper that he wants, and if we get it, he'll trade us a ship. So that seems like a pretty good deal. We'll need to talk to some guy named Norud to be able to get to the east, and we'll need this scroll from the king. That'll let him know that we're official. It seems like it would be a better idea to have the king just give us the ship, and then we can just sail to the east and get the pepper that he wants. But I guess that's not the way he likes to do things. So we're going to make our way to the town of Assaram. That is very close to the tunnel where we want to go. We did take a bunch of damage from those barriers, so whenever we get to Assaram, we're going to want to use the inn, and we have a bunch of money right now, so we can also go and buy another one of those iron helmets. Remember, The Iron Helmet is one of the best helmets in the game, and it's the best helmet that a pilgrim and a sage can wear, so we're going to want to have at least 2 of those anyway, so we might as well pick up the second one now. So we'll go visit our good friend the merchant up here in the upper left corner, and as usual he tries to sell it to us for 16,000 gold. Come on, man. We're not gonna buy it for that much, and we're not gonna buy it for 8,000, and we have 4,000 gold, but we're not spending 4,000 gold today. You and I both know that you can sell us this iron helmet for 2,000 gold, and that's what we're gonna do, so let's just cut to the chase and make it happen. We don't have a sage right now, and the merchant can't wear the iron helmet, so we're going to give it to our hero. Our hero will eventually be able to find a better helmet than the iron helmet, but for now it's going to be a pretty good upgrade. So that brings her defense power up to 91. Good luck penetrating that, enemies. Before we set off on another adventure, we'll stop over here at the item shop and sell some equipment that we don't need anymore. Even this early in the game, we cannot afford to waste a bunch of our item slots. There's going to be a bunch of treasures for us to find in the next dungeon, and we want to make sure that we have space to pick them all up. So take a good look at the items that you have. This spider web, does it spark joy? No, it does not. So we're going to sell it for 26 gold pieces. Just get rid of anything you don't need, and then we're going to get out of here. The cave that we're looking for is quite close by. You may have seen it before. It's that one right over here. So we'll head inside, but there's a battle that we have to fight first. This time it's 3 wild apes. We fought 2 wild apes previously, so this is just 1 more. And we're a good bit more powerful now, so I don't expect us to have any trouble handling these guys. Alright, 6 damage, no big deal. It seems like it only takes about 2 attacks to kill a wild ape. So when everyone attacks this time, we should have no problem finishing him off, but he summoned another one. Alright, well, that one that just got brought in is probably going to be pretty angry that he got summoned because he was immediately killed. He didn't even get to act. The music in Norud's cave makes it sound like it's a dungeon, but there are no random monster encounters in here, so you can relax for a moment. Use your key to open up the door and make your way to the right. We're going to find 2 treasure chests here in this cave, but neither of them is very exciting. One of them contains a training suit, which is substandard armor for our fighter, and the other one contains a club. A club sandwich would be better at this point in the game. When we actually go and talk to Norud, he's going to tell us to get out of here. And I can't really blame the guy. We just walked into his house and started stealing stuff out of his treasure chests. We didn't even really want the stuff that we stole. Well, if you show him the royal scroll and then say yes to his question, he's going to open up the way to the east. And how is he going to do that? By smashing through a wall. Yeah, that's kind of an extreme way of doing things. But that's just the kind of guy that Norud is. This scene reminds me a lot of the part in Final Fantasy where a dwarf named Narek needs you to give him the TNT to open up a passage. I wonder if in a way the creators of this game were trying to pay homage to Final Fantasy here. In any case, once Norud opens up the passage, make your way on through and head to the right side. You'll find a stairway that'll lead out to the overworld. Once you get outside, be prepared to fight. There were no monster encounters inside the cave, but once you get outside, there's a bunch of those orange hills, so you know the encounter rate is going to be high. We encountered 2 Infernus crabs and an Avenger Jackal. We haven't seen the Avenger Jackals before, but they are the highest level of the dog enemies. And we also tried out our Infernos magic against the Infernus crab. The Infernus crabs have no resistance to Infernos, and it doesn't deal a ton of damage, but these guys have such high defense that using magic against them could be a good idea. With only a single Infernus crab left, it should be easy to finish him off by just having everyone fight. So fight, 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 and we have vanquished all of our foes. And with that, our fighter has gained another level and is now up to level 13. 8 extra hit points and 6 more strength makes our fighter very formidable here at this level. 85 attack power. Pretty good. So we're going to keep heading to the right, and we got out of the hills, so that's good news. We're in the forest now, but that's a slightly lower encounter rate. There's 4 Avenger Jackals this time, and while the other dog enemies cast slow or defense against us, Avenger Jackals can cast Surround. They can also call for help, but most of the time they just attack. They're pretty vulnerable to the sleep spell, so we'll give that one a try against them, and hopefully we can remove a few of these jackals from combat. With some of the jackals asleep, we should be in good shape to finish up this battle. And that one casts Surround, so that is not the best thing that could have happened, but there's only one jackal left, so we can use some magic attacks to make sure that we hit. And we'll have some of our other characters just try their melee attacks and maybe they'll get lucky. Alright, we'll try it again. Everyone parry. Use magic when possible. We should have a good bit of magic points to use now, so we don't have to worry about running out very quickly. And that last shot of Infernos did it. We gained 127 experience points for that one. And our merchant has leveled up again, this time to level 15. 8 more hit points is gonna put her up to 90, so that's pretty good. And we're going to continue making our way downwards, staying in the forest where possible. So just follow the trees, and eventually we're going to come to a grassy area at the bottom, right down here. We're close to the next town, but we've been attacked by monsters again, and these are some new ones. We've seen the Avenger Jackal before, but tongue bears and hunter flies are new. Tongue bears are just going to attack us, but hunter flies can cast Fireball, so I would consider those a high priority target. We also would like to get rid of the Avenger Jackal so it doesn't cast Surround on us, but you can see how annoying that Fireball spell is. That damages our entire party. Huh, one of the tongue bears decided that they didn't want to mess with us, and that was probably a good move by that guy. He'll live to play another day. This tongue bear, however, is not going to survive, and this hunter fly is also doomed. Once again, the enemies have been vanquished. Once you get down here, you're going to follow the grass over to the right, and that's going to lead to the next town, the town of Baharata. It's over in the area of the game that represents India. So we're almost to the town, and well, one step away we were attacked again. This time it's 3 tongue bears and a Nev. So the Nev is definitely the highest priority target here. That guy can cast the Chaos spell, which will confuse members of our party, and then they'll start attacking our own characters. They might even use magic. It's really bad. If one of your characters gets confused, you should probably just run. Once that Nev is gone though, the tongue bears, they just attack and every once in a while they run away. So we don't have to worry too much about them. We're just going to do an all-out attack, and that should finish up this battle no problem. And I don't think we're going to be attacked again before we get into town. We are right there on the precipice. Okay, we made it to Baharata. Let's buy some black pepper and then warp back to Portoga and get ourselves a ship. Yeah, right. Like it would really be that easy. It seems that the only shop that sells black pepper Well, the owner of that shop, he's going through some stuff right now. Before we visit with him, we can stop over here at the item store and sell some items that we don't need anymore, like that club and the training suit that we found in Norud's cave. We want to make sure that we keep some item space available, so we can see what this guy has to sell, but we're not going to be buying any of this stuff right now. We need to get that pepper, so we'll head down here, and it seems that this guy also came to buy pepper, but yep, the seller is not doing business because his daughter has been kidnapped. Well, if it's not one thing, it's another. If you head down here, we'll see a short cutscene play out. This guy's name is Galen, and he's the one that we're going to be able to get the pepper from. And it seems that this is Galen's father, or maybe it's his father-in-law, but in any case, it seems that Galen's daughter Tanya has been kidnapped, and now he's going to take matters into his own hands, and he's going to go try and rescue her. As he runs off, you have to wait until he gets completely out of town before you can do anything else. And then we can talk to these people who are purifying themselves at the sacred river, and it seems that they traveled a very long distance to do this. So where did that Galen guy go? And does anyone else in this town sell black pepper? I would give good money if anyone has some pepper for sale. Well, let's ask around and see what we can find out. If we head over here, we'll find the local inn. We took a decent beating on the way down here, so it's a good idea to use the inn. We're going to be going into a dungeon soon, so we need to be prepared. If we open this door, we can talk to this guy, so we can use our key, and we'll see what he has to say. It seems that deep in the mountains is the Shrine of Dama, and we can actually get to the Shrine of Dama now. You do not need a boat to get there, but you need to be level 20 to change your profession, so we're not ready for that yet. And that guy had the information that we needed. It seems that the kidnappers are in a cave nearby. Perfect. This guy wants to tell us some nonsense about the Archfiend. I'm sorry, dude. If you don't have a good lead on some black pepper, I do not care what you have to say right now. And if we walk outside the town, we can see that there is a cave nearby. And to get there, we need to go over this bridge, and then cut up across this forest and over to the left. Here's a new enemy type, the Mage Toadstool. The Mage Toadstool hits hard with ice magic, and he can also heal, so that's kind of obnoxious, but he only has 40 hit points, so if we just concentrate a few attacks on him, the Mage Toadstool will be no problem. They could be more dangerous if they come in larger numbers. And after that fight, our Pilgrim has leveled up again. We're at level 14 for him now, and it seems that he has learned a new spell. Awesome! This time Kylo has learned the spell of Stop Spell, and that can stop enemies from using magic. It costs 3 magic points to use and it targets a group of enemies, but you'll find that not that many enemies in this game actually cast magic spells, so its usage is kinda limited. As soon as we get in here, we're immediately attacked by 4 Cachulas, and that's just how this dungeon is going to go. 4 Cachulas is by far the most common encounter that you'll meet in this dungeon, and these guys are extremely annoying. They do a curious dance every now and again, and steal your magic points. So I hope you aren't planning on using any magic in this dungeon, because it won't be long before the enemies have stripped away every point of magic that you have. And here's those 4 Cachulas again, and this time they even recruited a 5th one. You can see we are rapidly losing magic points. Our Pilgrim's down to 28, and he hasn't even cast any spells. We did gain another level though. This time our hero has risen to level 13. She gained 5 points of vitality and 9 hit points, bringing her total HP up over 100. Pretty good. This dungeon features a bunch of small rooms that all look the same, and there are a lot of screen transitions, and you know that whenever there's a screen transition, that's a very high chance of a monster encounter, so you're going to hit a lot of monsters as you walk through here. Up here, there's a door. It looks like a wall that you can't go through, but if you use your key, we can find some treasure up here. This chest contains 552 gold pieces, but not all of the chests up here are safe. The ones marked on the map with a skull and crossbones are actually man-eater chests, and man-eater chests are extremely dangerous monsters. They have a super high rate of attack, and you do not want to tangle with any man-eater chests, so just avoid those. You'll be a lot better off. After fighting another set of Cachulas, our pilgrim is down to 19 magic points, so you want to make sure to heal while you still can, but we are probably going to run out of MP pretty soon. And here's another chest. This one contains a medical herb, and whenever we run out of magic, we might just need that medical herb. We're going to use our key to open up this door, and then we're going to head all the way to the bottom. We've certainly seen a Cachula and a trick bag before, but this executioner is something new. All the executioner actually does is attack. It'll occasionally do some critical hits, so the highest priority target here is the trick bag. You want to get rid of that guy very quickly so it doesn't cast surround on you, or maybe increase, which would increase the defense of all of your enemies, so that would be very annoying. Once the trick bag and the executioner are out of the way, the Cachula will go down very quickly. As we make our way to the bottom of the map, we encounter another battle, this time with 2 Cachulas and a trick bag, and once again remember that the trick bag is the highest priority target here. It should only take 1 attack to get rid of the trick bag, but you definitely want to make sure to get that guy out of the way so that he doesn't wreak any havoc on our party, and then we should easily be able to finish off the remaining enemies. So attack, 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 and the Cachulas are gone. We are getting very low on magic points, but we're holding up pretty well. So just keep making your way to the bottom. And here is another battle. This time it's just an executioner and 1 Cachula. So this one should be pretty easy. We're just going to split up our attacks between the 2 enemies, and we should be able to kill them in a single round. Although the Cachula has summoned another Cachula, so that might slow us down a little bit, but what's 1 Cachula going to do against us? A whole lot of nothing, that's what. So that's it for that battle. It's time to continue moving downwards. It's hard to keep track of how many of these rooms we've passed through, and here there's a guy who tells us that a man went south right into a wall of darkness, and he reminds us that we may need to use our key. Well, good advice, guy, but we kind of figured that out already when we opened up the treasure room. And down here, well, here's another new encounter. 3 shadows and 1 Cachula. The shadows only have 28 hit points to start out with, so they should be able to be killed in a single attack by most of our characters. And wow, does every enemy in this dungeon steal our magic points? That's like all the enemies ever do in here. They just love stealing the magic points. There's only 1 shadow left. A lot of us have been surrounded by mirages, so that's kind of obnoxious. But if we just keep attacking, we should be able to finish this guy off. Come on, fight, 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 fight. And the shadow healed itself. And it's possible for this shadow to even heal itself to higher than its original HP. So that's why it didn't die when we hit it for 29 damage, but it should be at very low health now. Except that it healed itself again. How much health does this thing have? Alright. Well, we were able to kill that last shadow, and that battle was a lot more difficult than it should have been. 4 Cachulas again. Guess what, Cachulas? You can't really steal our magic points anymore, because we don't have any. These guys just keep calling in reinforcements, and those reinforcements keep getting killed, but we did get 315 experience points for that battle, so I guess there was some upside. When you bump into the wall, just use your key, and then make your way to the right. There is a treasure chest all the way in the lower left corner, but it's another one of those man-eater chests, so you just want to avoid that, and head over here to the lower right corner, where you'll find the stairway. We got attacked by 2 shadows and a Catula again, but this time they got a preemptive strike against us. Hopefully this battle will go better than the 3 shadows and the Catula. As long as we don't get surrounded by mirages, I think that we'll be okay. So yep, that went a lot better this time, and we're going to head downstairs, where we'll get very close to the end of this cave. We have 0 MP right now, so we're going to have to use some medical herbs for healing. We'll need to use them sparingly, we don't have that many. If we head over here to the right, we can use our key on another one of those black walls, and behind it there are 4 treasure chests. None of these ones are man-eater chests, so make sure to open them all. Inside we're going to find a bunch of those stat boosting seeds, so we'll be pretty happy to pick these up. So we'll grab one more. This one is the agility seed, and then we're going to make our way down, and we'll need to use our magic key to open up this door. Whenever we get inside, guess who kidnapped Tanya? Yep, it's Kandar's henchman again, and you won't be surprised to find out that Kandar is behind this. When you come down here and they ask if you want to join them, you need to say no. If you say yes, they're just going to escort you out, so tell them no, and then it's going to be time to fight. 4 Kandar henchmen without their leader is not going to be very difficult, but we don't have any magic to work with, so we're going to need to rely on our melee attacks. Hopefully you have a good amount of hit points when you get here. Use any medical herbs that you might need to heal yourself up before this battle, and make sure that you parry with the 3 members of your party at the front before you cancel out and do your attacks. A critical hit from Mance definitely helps taking out one of the henchmen, but they're unable to deal a lot of damage to our party members, especially our well-armored ones at the front. So just keep fighting, and it won't be long before these guys go down. But that's not the boss of this cave. Nope, that's just the beginning. If you need some more medical herbs, now is definitely the time. We went way too soft on Kandar the previous time, and it looks like he's escalated from theft to kidnapping. That is a lot worse. The button that we need to press to open up these gates looks like a chair that goes with this table, but it's that round cylinder at the end of the hall. Whenever you press it, Galen and Tanya will do a little dance, and then he says, "We should get married." Well, I thought the people in town said that she was his daughter. Maybe I was mistaken about that? Well, in any case, before we can get out of here, we're going to need to fight Kandar one more time. This is your last chance to heal yourself. Whenever you head up here, it's time for another boss fight. You again? Yeah, it's definitely us, Kandar. And this time Kandar only has 2 henchmen with him, but he's a little bit more powerful. He has 400 hit points this time instead of 150, and this time he regenerates hit points. Kandar will regenerate about 50 hit points every round, so you want to get rid of the 2 henchmen, and then you just want to start focusing your attacks on Kandar. If you had magic points, you could try sap magic on him, but if you were fighting the Catulas in this dungeon, you probably don't have any magic points to work with, so you just need to keep parrying and fighting against this guy, and hopefully you'll be able to deal enough damage to penetrate his defenses, and be able to deal enough damage to get past the 50 health that he regenerates each round. So just keep fighting this guy. It might seem like he has almost unlimited hit points, But if you eliminate those other 2 henchmen and you have all 4 of your party members alive, you shouldn't have too many problems defeating this guy. If one of your characters does get low on health, you can try using a medical herb during battle. Right now our merchant is down to 8 HP, and ideally you'd like to have all 4 characters be alive at the end of this battle so they can enjoy the 4,800 experience points that you'll split amongst the survivors. And it looks like Kandar did attack our merchant again, so it was a good idea to use that medical herb. And we've done it! We've defeated Kandar again, and it's time to start gaining some levels. Our merchant has gone up to level 16, and our hero has gone up to level 14. Vitality goes up 4 points, the maximum HP goes up 8, and Ray learns a new spell. That's pretty awesome. Our pilgrim levels up to level 15, and are we going to get all 4 characters leveled up this time? Yes, we are. The pilgrim also learned a new spell, and our fighter has leveled up to level 14. So fighting that boss was mandatory, but it was also good for experience. You can say no that you won't let him go, but he's going to keep asking you until you say yes. Until we meet again, Kandar. Well, I have some good news and some bad news. Our hero just learned the outside spell, which will allow us to spend 8 magic points to get out of a dungeon, but we don't have any MP. Now may be a good time to use that wizard's ring that we found. So if we use the wizard's ring on our hero, we'll transfer it to her first, and then we'll have her use it as an item. She'll be able to get back some magic points, and it didn't break, so that was very good. And now we can use the outside spell. We don't have enough magic points to cast Return, but town is not very far from here, so we'll just walk it. I don't think we'll have any problem making it back. Ideally, we'd like to get back to town alive, so if you run into any bad battles like maybe 3 of those Nev enemies or something like this, you should run away, but make sure that you parry first. So parry, 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 cancel it all out and then run. And it was a good idea that we did the parries because the enemies cast Ice Bolt against us, and we would have been defenseless otherwise. So we'll try to parry and run again. We were blocked off the second time, but remember, the third time that you run, you have a 75% chance to succeed, and if you have to run a 4th time, it's 100%. So we survived that. We're going to need to use a little bit of healing magic. Luckily, we had that wizard ring, and we only need to go a little bit farther. Okay, we made it back to Baharata. Back here in town, we definitely need to use the inn, but before that, let's visit Galen, because the black pepper shop is back in business. And black pepper, it's on the house. So now we have the pepper we need to get a ship, and before we leave, we can visit Grandpa and Tanya upstairs. She inherited the pepper shop, so I think they're going to be doing some good business down here. There's a lot of people that want pepper. And we'll head up to the inn. We barely survived that last dungeon, but now that we're back at the inn, we'll be in top shape in no time. Alright everyone, hang on to your butts. It's time to return to Portoga. And we'll cast our magic spell. And whenever we get there, we'll go directly into town, and we'll walk straight up to the king and trade our pepper for a ship. And yeah, the king was good on his end of the deal. Whenever you talk to him again, it seems that he ate a little bit too much black pepper, and now he's sleepy. As soon as you walk out of the castle area, you'll see your ship waiting for you. So just walk on in, and we can sail out of here. It's time to hit the open seas. But that's all the time we have for this episode. Make sure to check out part 2, where we'll power level our characters by fighting metal slimes. we'll convert our merchant into a sage, and we'll put an end to the Archfiend once and for all. Until then, thanks for watching.